It's that time again, right? Kick out the old, welcome the new. Make your New Year's resolutions now. Go!
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. There's still time. The AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhammer.
And Happy New Year, everybody. Whether you're listening to this on New Year's Eve or whether you're listening to this in the future, in 2025. Happy New Year to all our listeners. We're going to have a little look back on 2024 in this episode. We're going to look ahead as well to some stuff in 2025. We have a special 40-minute feature interview with Whitecaps CEO and sporting director Axel Schuster, and a lot more chat and a lot more fun stuff as well. We'll hand out some of our end of season awards, and yeah, it should be fun.
Was this your favorite ever interview with Axel Schuster?
It was a good interview. I don't know.
People are going to want to stick around. I think there's some interesting things he has to say.
Yes. We're going to unpack it all in the next show. So we'll let you all listen to it and digest it. Zach as well was just only had a chance to listen to stuff tonight, so it's not a chance for him to unpack it. So we'll do that in the next show. We really want to hear your thoughts. We talk about the sale, the coaching search, not finished, spoiler. And yeah, just a look back at 2024 and how important 2025 is for the club moving forward. So a lot of football chat to come. Before we get into all that, how was your Christmas, Zach?
It was really great.
Family were here?
Family was here, which was amazing. So my mom, my sister, her partner, and my nephew, my 5-year-old nephew. That was great. So much fun. We haven't had Christmas together since, I don't know, 2018-ish.
Oh, wow.
So that was really, really, it was incredible. Got what day is it today? Yesterday? We're recording this? Sunday.
This is Monday.
Sunday, I got to baptize my daughter.
Yes.
Which was really, really awesome.
I saw your post on Instagram and the build up to how was that? We talked about it a little bit in the last show.
It was really meaningful and emotional, and it was encouraging. And I'll post the link. You can watch it if you want. It's not very long.
No, I'd like to see that.
Unless you watch unless you stick around for the whole service, that's a little bit longer. But it's just a few moments. But so that was great, and obviously great that my family could be here for it. That's kind of how we planned it around them coming out, and and then just like a lot of really good just family time. Well, one of the things we did, which might be fun for you, is we did this. I think the last time they were out. Yeah, last time they were out. So my stepdad was with us the last time, but we went on, was it Friday? It was Friday. Friday we went to Stanley Park, because my sister's partner's never been to Vancouver, so it was like he wanted to do all these things. He's like, oh, can we go to the island? Can we go to Whistler? And we're like,
you don't want to go to the island at Christmas time on a ferry.
I was like, yeah, it's like gonna be $350 for your family to go to the island for a day, and it's raining, and there's nothing. Like, what are you gonna do there? Like, it's Christmas, and anyways, people on the island are probably shouting all the things you could do there. But anyways, for me, it's like there's no football, so there's nothing to do.
But Butchered Gardens is lovely lit up, although you've got Van Dusen here if you want to see that.
Exactly, exactly. But anyways, so we went down, walked around parts of the seawall, and took them to different places, and
Nice.
that was fun. And then we went to Granville Island, and so we,
I haven't been there for over a year. I keep meaning to get back down. I like
uh,
wandering around there.
I love it. So
Yeah.
at the end, we went to the kids area and hung out there with for her nephew and stuff. But
It's more awkward when I do that.
yeah, especially if you don't have a nephew with you.
Yeah.
But we went and we all just grabbed our own food and shared food, whatever. And then we did this thing, kind of like our own little family, sort of like Iron Chef. So
Wow.
we split into teams. So one guy, one girl on each team. And then it was very collaborative. Everyone was very pleased to work together. So we just my mother and my 5-year-old nephew took the salad, and my daughter and Barnum, my sister's partner, took kind of like the main meat kind of thing. And my sister and I chose pasta, and then my son and my wife chose dessert. And so everyone just went off and bought stuff in the market, and then we went home, and then we made it all. And then at the end, we voted on what was everyone's favorite thing. So we had
Cool.
my mom just made like a Caesar salad, but it was really good. And the meat was like they just got all these like kebabs and all these cuts of meat. So there was chicken and lamb and beef,
But
and
there's some
then
really good butchers and stuff at the market.
oh yeah,
Oh,
and then my sister and I, even though I didn't help make anything because I was exhausted, so I slept during all the preparation. But I helped choose stuff and bought stuff. But we did linguine carbonara with real. So we got like guanciale and then we bought pasta from my good friend Anna, who works in the market at Dusos, and
oh,
so that was really great. Got to see. I haven't seen her in forever. And then for dessert, they just got all this fruit. So they got like dragon fruit, and they had this fruit platter, and then they took some of the fruit and they made milkshakes for us. So we had like a couple different flavors of milk, like mango milkshakes and whatever. Anyways,
did it bring all the boys to your yard?
are you quoting a song there?
Yeah, Kelly's.
Oh,
Your milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours. And they're like,
no, it's not. No,
last week, Oliver, this week, Kelly's.
there you go.
Knows what next week will bring.
So the dessert won the vote, even though it was all very good, but not as good as the like everything together was just great.
Yeah, I mean, dessert, cutting up fruit. I mean, come on, Kirk, put a little bit more effort than that.
cutting up fruit and putting it in the blender.
Make a panna cotta or something.
Yeah, but it was great. It was so much fun, and then we just played tons of games. Like we played a bunch of games, some that we got for Christmas, some that we had, and watched movies, and just like had my 5-year-old nephew's, he's both fun and at the end of the night when he's exhausted, not super easy, not always super easy for his parents. But like just so much fun. And
Did you watch ID with him?
no.
That would have put him quiet.
Is that the video that gave me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. No, we watched. It was all Christmas. It was all Christmas stuff.
Yeah, we were going to play games, and then we never got around to playing any games. So we're going to do that on New Year instead, because we had so many things to kind of watch on UK TV, and then just things.
So wait, are you telling me you didn't play the game? I got you.
We played no games at all. New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, the plan is to play some games because we've caught up on all our stuff.
Do you and Caitlin like Scrabble?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I know what I'm getting you next Christmas.
Oh, I'm very good at Scrabble.
We got a game this year. Actually, I got a game in my youth Christmas party, Christmas gift exchange thing. There was a game my wife said, like, you have to get the game. It was like the third steal, so I locked it in. When I took it, no one could take it from me. I was like, I'm doing this because my wife, I don't know anything about this. My wife's telling me I need to do this, so I'm doing it.
Y'all don't blame her.
Oh,
Oh,
no, because
I wouldn't want to steal this. Thou
no,
shalt
no, no,
steal.
no. It was the opposite. She also the other reason why she told me to steal was she knew the student who had it I already had the game. I already had it.
Oh,
She's
okay,
like,
that's nice.
steal it from them so they can get something else they want. And then she's like, "And we want that." So I was like, "Okay, so this is a gift for my wife for Christmas now," which is that's fine too. I thought I was gonna give it to my daughter, but it's really for my wife. Anyways, we played it and just loved it. And if you like Scrabble, it'll be a great game for you and Caitlin.
Oh, cool. Yeah, well, we like our word games.
Yeah.
We, yeah, we're going to have our games in the next couple of days. I've got them all out in the spare room, just all piled up, ready to go. We did watch some movies, and because I've spoken on the show before, our tradition is we do a Christmas Carol each year. We try and see it in person if we can. If not, we kind of watch a film version or something a little bit different. So putting my Apple TV free subscription to good use.
Oh, Spirited?
I was saving Spirited for Christmas Eve, so we watched it on Christmas Eve. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, good
Oh,
times. Yeah.
that's right up there with one of my favorite Christmas films now of all
I
time.
I did not watch it this year again, Spirited. And A Christmas Carol, I think it might have been on at some point, but I didn't really wanted to actually. I really wanted to watch the old black and white one, like the good one.
Yeah, Alistair
Um,
Sim in the black and white one's fantastic.
yeah, that's the best. I did watch one of my favorite things to do, and it's partly connected to my stepdad, but I watched one of the last two nights before Christmas, while everyone was sleeping and I was wrapping gifts. I watched It's a Wonderful Life.
I haven't seen that
Yeah.
in full for many a year.
Oh,
I've
it's
seen
so
little
good.
bits when it's on every year, and you kind of watch it, and yeah,
It's so good.
yeah, it's a great film.
And then I watched a bunch of classics like mo most of the Home Alones and what else did we watch? Oh, actually another one we watched. Have you ever watched Christmas with the Cranks?
When it first came
You
out,
should watch that.
yeah.
Oh, okay, you've seen it. It's written by it's from John Grisham, which is kind of weird because it's not
Oh,
his normal
we watched on Christmas
stuff. But
Day because it was on BBC, the new Wallace and Gromit film, Vengeance
oh,
Most
is it good?
Foul. Oh, it is. It's really good. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, nice.
When I was watching Spirited, though, couldn't help but think to myself, this is like watching another Whitecaps LAFC game. Ryan Reynolds, the new Whitecaps owner. Oh, spoiler for what's coming up in part two with Axel. And of course, Will Ferrell, the LAFC owner.
You're hilarious. You're hilarious.
I mean, if it is Ryan, I mean, we get to speak to him, I'll put that question to him. Are you looking forward to what we'll now call the Spirited Derby?
Apple TV would approve.
Oh, they'll be all over that. Oh, it's a done deal. There, can take that to the bank, which is what Greg Kerfoot and his fellow owners will be doing if that deal comes off. Yeah,
Yeah.
we will be talking about that in part two. So, I mean, 2024 is coming to an end. I was saying to Caitlin tonight, I love Christmas time so much, obviously for different reasons for you. I just like it because everyone's so nice for a month, it feels. And folk are, although you don't want to say good afternoon to people, I learned that from Spirited.
Yes, yes, yes.
But no, it's like I love taking the dog out, all the lights at night, and I just love all that kind of it. And then there's so much looking forward to Christmas Day and the thought getting into the presents. And then we try and make sure we space our presents out over the day. So we don't like open the last
Mm.
one till maybe 6 or 7 at night and we gradually open them just to kind of spread the day out. And then it's over, it's done, and you're just kind of back to your normal lives again and in Boxing Day, and it's always a little bit sad.
Yeah, we don't spread it over that long, but we definitely do it where it takes a good hour or two because we do it where it's like well, this year we only did stockings for um our Kirk and Elizabeth and then our nephew. So only the three of them. Usually Cheryl and I will create one for each other, but we're like this year we won't. So they open those first. But again, it's kind of like it's not like a free for all where it's like one almost like one person at a time is opening.
Yeah, that's
And
what
then when
we
we do
do.
the gifts, like yeah, it's not like everyone's tearing. It's like, no, you open one and then we get
Well,
like,
it's nice
usually
to
one.
see the reaction of people
Oh, totally.
as well. It's like
Totally.
that's part of the fun.
So one of the kids will be the like, hey, you choose one from under the tree, and then and my wife are like, oh, not that one yet. That one we got to save that one, or like, oh, look for this shaped one, or what, whatever. And then yeah, it's a good times.
Yeah, it's such a a wonderful time of year for family. And I mean, obviously, it's not for everyone. A lot of folk are lonely this Christmas or whatever, and always have to keep that in mind as well. And like looking back at 2024, which we're going to do in this show. I mean, we'll look at it from a football point of view very shortly, but I mean, on a personal level, Zach, how do you look back at 2024? How was the year for you?
Lots of highs, a few lows. Yeah, my stepdad passed away this year. My wife's uncle, who was a quality man who I have a highly respect. He passed away this summer as well. So some big things like that. And then in terms of meaningful things, going to Costa Rica with this group of young people that I got to go to was so incredibly encouraging. And obviously, as a part of that, finally got to go to the Monsters Cave and got to see Kendall play club football again. I got to see him play in 2022 a couple times in Doha, but
You're going to get to see him in 2025.
exactly. Very excited about that. So no, that was really, really great. I think, what else? I mean, the second year at Vancouver FC was, ultimately the season as a whole was disappointing, but there were still a lot of good things, community wise and with players and connections and relationships and friendships and all that kind of stuff. And then doing stuff obviously with you and with AFTN. I love the games I got to go to in the 3 games I got to go to in Calvary and Forge and obviously on the island. And those were all really memorable and really, really meaningful. And I always just I love to travel, and I love to be able to travel around football. So that was always those were like pretty significant and awesome moments. I'm trying to think. Oh, like camp in the summer is also really good.
Oh yeah.
Kirk spent like virtually the whole summer at camp, which was.
I mean, that's great. You don't have to see him.
No, well, that's this. I was there for a week, so that was good. But and we got to go to a game in Kamloops too. Got to watch Fulham U19s or U21s.
Oh yes. And you got to see a game in Kelowna.
No, I didn't go.
Oh no, you didn't go to that. Yeah.
that was because my stepdad was sick and.
Oh yes.
We were supposed to go to Kelowna.
We were meant to go and see a game in Kelowna.
Although if things keep going one day, hopefully I'll be able to watch a game in Kelowna. But yeah, no, I think those are probably the high. I mean, just in general, like life in general, I'm blessed. I have an amazing wife. I have wonderful children that I love deeply, and the life we live every day is like, I don't know, so good. You know what I mean? Like I can't. I mean, I do complain sometimes, but there's not a lot I really should be complaining about in terms of how I live my life and what I get to do with my life and how I get to interact with so many people in so many different circles. I'm so grateful and so blessed. And again, part of that ties into this too. I can't remember how many times this year where I'm at Costco or I'm out somewhere and someone's like, "Hey, I love the show," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Wait, what? What? You're still listening?" Or people send messages or whatever. And so there's so many things to be grateful for.
Yeah, I echo that as well. It's like I think it's taken me a long time to fully appreciate what I have living here in Vancouver and how lucky I am to live in such a beautiful city and such a diverse city and just with so much on our doorstep. And yeah, just had a good year. Obviously, some bad, sad stuff as well. I became an orphan, so I can relate to Oliver a lot more. So I mean that helps with my love for that musical. So much good football stuff. TSS, traveling with them for the Canadian Championship. It didn't quite come off in the end. Getting down to not 1 but 2 games in Portland again. Hadn't got down since pre-COVID, so it was great to get back down there, doing the League One commentary, becoming the main commentator for the league again for 2024, and looks like I'll be doing it again in 2025. All this UBC stuff, winning both in the men and the women's, the historic double in youth sports. All our listeners to the podcast, everyone that interacts on social media, always enjoy it. I'm maybe really shit sometimes at replying to emails. I'm maybe 3 weeks later going, okay, so sorry about this. I need to probably have more than just the one email that gets all my football emails in it, because I'm on all the club mailing lists. So whenever anyone emails me, I read it on my phone. I'm like, oh, I'll reply to that on the laptop, and then totally forget. So apologies to everyone. All our extra subscribers as well. I mean, that's always been a lot of fun doing those. I want to give some thanks as well for a lot of the comms people that we've worked with this year, like at the Whitecaps. Nathan and Brandon have been fantastic. Sebastian as well. Everything that we've needed, everyone that we've wanted to speak to this year, we've got done. Maybe the odd hiccup along the way to get it done, but they've been so good at accommodating us, all the nonsense that we do. In the CPL side, Trisha at Pacific's been wonderful to deal with as always. Hannah at Cavalry
Yeah.
has been great sorting out all your trips there, and I was speaking to her this month about stuff going into 2025. And we haven't mentioned this on the show before, and some folk won't know this, but Caitlin, not my wife Caitlin, but Vancouver FC Caitlin, was fantastic with us this year. Every single thing we wanted to do interview-wise, she sorted out for us, bent over backwards to accommodate her. When I had my scathing critique of the club, she was one of the highlights that I had as being somebody I had a lot of time for. Unfortunately, at the end of the season, was let go by the club. Her role was basically eliminated, which is, it's the vicious circle. If there's not media going to watch the team, do you need a media officer? But if you don't have a media officer, how do you get media to come and watch the team? So Caitlin sadly lost her job, but she was fantastic to deal with, and I hope she lands on her feet in 2025. Stuart Neely at League One BC as well. He's moved on now. He's out in charge of a club in Ontario, and I'm sure he's glad he's not got me messaging him every weekend, going on about the live streams and various things, and, oh, can we do this? Can we do this? And everything I asked for. Oh, can we get an extra mic? Can we do this? Can we get an outside mic behind the goals? He sorted it all out. So it was fantastic having that. So that's my thanks to all of
Yeah.
them for their help this year.
I'll just echo that too. Like, I really, really appreciate Caitlin. She was so good to me and helpful and clear and accommodating. Yeah, I remember trying to do the Mickey interview with technical issues that I think were on my end, which did make sense, but she helped make it happen and in an even better way, in my opinion. I got to do it in person, which was much better. So yeah, I appreciate her, and I'm gonna miss her at Vancouver FC, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out and who does what parts of her role and or like how they move forward in that. Because you're right, when you don't have a dedicated person there, then it's hard to continue to grow that community that you want covering things. So
But then it's also hard when there isn't media to come
yes,
along, because she tried so hard.
yes, she
And
did do a lot.
I don't even think the folk at the club appreciate how
Yes,
much work, and she reached out to so many media here. Oh, how about meeting for coffee and we can discuss what to do? And it was always like, no, haven't got time. No, not interested. So she tried her best.
yeah, and there's all this stuff behind the scenes that people don't see that she did to try and stir things up
Just media's
and
decimated
grow.
here.
Yeah. Trish is a lovely person
Yeah.
who is so warm and welcoming. And again, just, yeah, I have a lot of time for Trish. Hannah, again, great too, just with allowing me to do things kind of how I wanted to do things and making that happen and whatever. I'm really, really thankful. I really wish I'd gone to the final because that would have been fun,
Oh,
but
I know. I mean, that is the key, though, to making us happy. Just let us do what we want.
well, yeah, yeah. The other two, Stuart Neely. Since I can't remember how long, I have a lot of time for Stuart Neely, and I was sad when he didn't stay longer at Vancouver FC.
Yeah, but a big congratulations to Mark Rogers that is taking over as well. So I'm
Yes,
meeting up with
yes,
Mark next year. next
Oh,
week.
that's right. That's right.
Next
He's gonna
week,
be.
next year to discuss the season ahead.
That's right. He's gonna be your new head honcho.
Yeah, he'll be the one getting all the texts from me going, "Can we do this?"
Well, I mean, he's another person who's great to deal with. Like
Yeah.
very good communication, very clear, very. I think you'll get on well with
I
him.
mean, I've known Mark for years, and the sad thing for me, like the three folk I really liked dealing with at VFC, Caitlin, Mark, they've gone. It just leaves Jeevan now.
Yeah, Jeevan's great too. But the last person wasn't on your list is even though he's moved into the from the CPL to the CFL is James Hutton, who was at Forge, who got me sorted out at Forge
Oh,
this
I
year.
didn't know he'd moved on to the CFL side.
Yeah, he got headhunted. Yeah, he moved on the CFL side, but not in Hamilton. He got headhunted by MLSE, and he's a part of the championship Toronto Argonauts.
Oh, I did not know that. Oh, well done,
Yeah,
James.
yeah.
Oh, he's
So
a lovely guy.
he's
Well
great,
deserved.
and so again, so helpful, so accommodating, and we happened to be there on a great day, and yeah, it was just it could not have been nicer how things were for that, and then also just a dude I have a lot of time for as a fellow voyager and lover of football, and yeah,
I should say as well, any of the CPL com staff that I haven't mentioned, they've all been great and accommodating to
yes,
with as well. We just haven't dealt with them
as
as
much,
much.
yeah,
It's also obviously at this time of year, folk do their in memoriams, and I'm just going to quickly rattle through this a little bit just now as well, because 2024 was also a year that saw some big footballing legends pass away. In January, Brazilian Mario Zagallo passed away, aged 92, won 2 World Cups as a player with Brazil, one as a manager, and then 2 days later, Zach, another legend won the World Cup both as a player and a manager. Germany's legend, the Kaiser, Franz Beckenbauer, passed away aged 78.
yeah, big one.
And then more tragic news for Germany in February. Andreas Bremer died of cardiac arrest, aged just 63. We spoke about him in the last show with the year present. And then an English legend, Stan Bowles, another player from that 60s, 70s era that died from Alzheimer's at age 75. In April, Joe Kinnear and Leighton James, two players I watched growing up watching English football. Joe Kinnear, former manager of Wimbledon as well. And another big World Cup winning manager, Argentina's manager from the 1978 World Cup, Cesar Menotti, died aged 85 in May. Another international manager, Sven-Goran Eriksson, died in August, aged 86. The Swede managed England in a string of top sides, and he'd been ill for a while, and I know there was a outpouring there when he passed away. Much younger, Saul Bamba, who some folk might remember him playing in the Championship and the Premiership. He also played in Scotland with Hibs. He was with Leicester, Leeds, Cardiff. He died of cancer in August, aged just 39, which was so tragic. September saw a 1990 World Cup Golden Boot winner, Italian striker Toto Schillaci, pass away, aged 59. And then October, Dutch legend Johan Neeskens passed away from a heart attack, aged 73. And there was a string of other footballers as well. So just always tough, always nice just to mention them passing away. And but as you're getting older, these are the things, players that you've watched growing up are sadly now going to pass away.
Yeah, yeah, lots of memories from that list as you read them.
Yeah. So that's our Christmas, New Year look back at 2024 and kind of personal and footballing level. We've got some more chat of that to come. Let's get into some present day football chat now, and some Whitecaps news this week, and it's players departing. Fafa Pico, not really a surprise, but he confirmed that he has now left Vancouver, confirmed it on his Instagram. 33 at the moment, he will be 34 by the time the new season starts. Didn't get his option picked up by the Whitecaps. The early rumours were that he was Austin bound under free agency, but on Sunday, Tom Bogart put out that it looks like he's getting the move that is like his dream, really. He wanted
Mhm.
to be closer to Miami, where his family are, and it looks like he couldn't get much closer because he's joining Inter Miami.
So good for him. So
Yeah.
good for his family. Yeah, happy for him. I think it's unfortunate for the Whitecaps, but I think this is the best thing for him.
Yeah. And I don't want to kind of spoil
Yeah.
what we're talking
Oh
about in
yeah.
the next part with Axel, but Axel talks about this. And I
Yes.
think for those of you that think, oh, why did the Whitecaps not take his option and then sell him and stuff? Axel's going to explain why in the next part.
Yeah.
Uh,
You'll get the clarity you need.
yeah, if there's anyone listening to that that still thinks the Whitecaps should have kept him here, then I don't know what you're thinking because we've criticised the Whitecaps before for how they treat players, especially in the early days at MLS, and how the Whitecaps have treated Fafa is how you would want your football club to treat the players and especially the players that you love and value.
I think you're right.
Yeah. I mean, Fafa, he was coming off not quite a career year, but his joint second best one in MLS. He had 9 goals and 6 assists, including one in the playoffs. That was one behind his 11 goals and 15, so 16 goal contributions with Houston in 2021, and joint with the 15 goal contributions with Philly in 2018, 10 goals and 5 assists. There was highs, there was lows, the penalty miss that we've talked about that would have triggered the new deal. He seemingly fell out with Vanni, but then came back strong, something else which Axel will touch upon exactly why in the next part. But I mean, ultimately, the Whitecaps now need to replace those goals. And Stuart Armstrong can certainly step up and plug some of those numbers, maybe match some of those numbers. But that's not what the Whitecaps are needing just, Zach. They don't just need a replacement. They need that replaced and an improvement. Not necessarily from the one player, but it's like to take the step forward, you don't just need to match what Fafa did next year, or you need to improve on that.
And and they need to improve on it partly because of the player we're going to talk about next. They really need to improve. The one thing that I think Stuart Armstrong supplies is someone with pace, whether it's out and out blazing pace or it's kind of shifty pace, kind of that Fafa had, where he's a player who could lose his marker and find the space he needed to, or get past the player or whatever. Yeah, they need that, and they probably need that in a younger frame,
Yes.
like a younger body.
I mean, obviously, I want Johnny Russell, but they do need some young blood in there, an experienced young blood as well, because you could call up some of the guys from the fringes or WFC2 or whatever, but they need somebody that can really add those goals, whether it's from within the league, whether it's bringing it in from outside. I mean, there's been some mixed thoughts on Fafa not being here. Most are sad to see him go, but he was on 670,000, so his option would have been way more
Yeah.
than that. There's also been a fair few that have pointed out that he's older, he's going to be another year older. And could he replicate those numbers in 2025? I mean, we have said that about Brian White. Oh, he's not going to be able to do that year upon year, but so far he has. But there's nothing to say that Fafa would have contributed those numbers. A new coach comes in. We don't know what his playing style is going to be. Does he like wingers? Because Vanni didn't. So, I mean, Fafa left a hole in the attack, and it looks like it's been made even bigger with the news that a deal has been done for the return of Deiber Caicedo to Colombian side Junior de Barranquilla. He was with them before, 49 appearances, 9 goals, 9 assists. The reports coming out of Colombia is that he's going to sign until December the 30th, 2026. I'd hoped a new coach would reignite him here, but that was always a risk, especially if he wasn't feeling settled off the pitch.
Yeah.
In the first year, there was the issues with the family not coming here. He got the injury. There was flashes. Then when he came back at the end of last season, he wasn't really fully fit, didn't maybe understand everything that was needed of him in the system, and we didn't get to see him either. So I mean, it looks like he's been sold, not for as much as they could have got if they'd done the deal in the summer, but I think it opens up an international spot. under 22 spot. I think it's the best for both parties that they do draw the line and move on, but two very big holes to fill.
Some of the speculation I saw said that they'll retain like a 20% sell-on fee too for him.
That would make sense
That
because, yeah.
would hopefully make up the difference on what they might have could have gotten, I guess. But yeah, it does increase the urgency and the need for again like a quick pacey winger. Um, Again, yeah, the younger the better. Obviously, your boy Johnny could maybe come in and be a veteran.
Oh, him off the bench would be fantastic if you can get him on a good enough deal.
Is he ready for that? Like mentally?
Well, I mean, he
age-wise, he
kind of
is.
had to do it at times in Kansas City the last little bit.
But
Part
it's
of that was
different.
injury, and
Yeah, but it's different when you're like at a club for a long time and that becomes your role as opposed to like I'm coming into a club to be. I think there's a little bit of a difference
well,
there.
yeah, I mean, go like giving Vancouver FC as an example when we spoke to Ben Fisk. I mean, we both thought that's the role that Fiske would have with VFC, and he didn't see that he was coming in to do that, but it kind of proved that was the role. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's certainly going to be a case that the Whitecaps, what they're going to look to strengthen is in the attack. So we'll see how that plays out. And we're recording this on Monday night. We usually do it on the Sunday, but we're doing it on Monday. And there's been breaking news just before we
Oh,
were
yeah.
set to record. So
Oh
we'll throw
my.
this into this bit. It's Vancouver FC news, and we're not going to talk too much about it because we don't know too much about it as things currently stand. So we'll see how this plays out in the next week. And our next show is going to be quite CPL heavy anyway. So it's going to be a good chance then to really talk about that. But surprising news coming out announced by the Malaysian Football Association. Rob Friend, owner or part owner of Vancouver FC, CEO and president of Vancouver FC, and also co-owner of Pacific, is taking up a role in the Malaysian FA as their CEO. And he's going to be tasked, according to Northern Tribune and some of the other reports, with overseeing the football organisation's structure, including staffing manpower and putting a platform of stability in place for the Malaysian team and their new head coach that they've got as well. So, I mean, huge surprising news. So many questions that we don't have the answer to. Is he moving to Malaysia? What does this mean to Vancouver FC? They're speaking to some sources around the league. There's a feeling that he's going there, and part of what he's going to be tasked in doing is to bring some Malaysian or Asian investment into the CPL. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. But I mean, we're pure speculation right now. Are you concerned for what this means for Vancouver FC?
Yeah, I'm concerned about what it potentially could mean for Vancouver FC. Of course, I don't know what's going on with this. I look forward to getting some clarification and understanding what's going on. If this is my first thought when I saw this an hour or two ago or whatever it was, when someone messaged me about it saying, "What is this?" Um, is that okay? Is he doing some sort of consulting for them? Like, is he playing some sort of role where they've asked him to share some of what he's learned and the roles he's doing now, and in trying to grow the game in Canada? And is it something that he can do? Consulting from afar. If it turns out to be something like that, then okay, that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
If it turns out to be he's moving to Malaysia,
Which I mean,
I
if,
can't see
if I was
that happening.
Malaysian, I would want my CEO of my football association to be in the country. But
Of course you would, but I just can't see him doing that with the season of life that his family's in. With all like
I guess he could go between the two, but that's a lot of travel.
he could go. I mean, here's the thing. The one thing I will say about Rob Friend, which people maybe know or don't know, is there's a lot that he does in the football world and community that people don't know about or whatever. So every so often, when I'm connecting with him, we're talking about stuff, and he'll say, "Oh, I'm doing this." And I'm like, "What? Who you do? Wait, what? You were where doing what? Like, and who's it for? Like, this is like, are you just for CPL? Is this a CSB, Are you working with the CSA? Is this for like 6'5"? And like he does so many different. He wears so many different hats. Is involved in so many different things, which I think is
Yeah, which
beneficial.
it's
It's beneficial
beneficial,
in
but
some. Yeah,
can be
but
concerning that you're stretching yourself too thin or burning yourself out.
yeah, but yeah, totally. Um, so I'm wondering if he's been connected to this through all these streams that he's swimming in, if you will.
Hmm.
But yeah, it'll be. I look forward to hearing more about this, and hope we can have a fuller conversation when we know more. I think it would be very unfortunate if he. Uh, I mean, obviously, when this season, when Mark Rogers' uh, role and what he was focusing on shifted, let's say midway through the season, or so at some point in the middle of the season, and Rob and Dean both took some things on, and that led to the hiring of Bill Cooper. And now obviously Bill Cooper is going to play a bigger role, and Rob and Dean will play presumably a less of a role in kind of day-to-day stuff. They're still very involved, but not less than day-to-day maybe. Um, yeah, it would be really unfortunate to see him, yeah, have something that would be potentially larger than what his involvement is with Vancouver FC.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll probably find out a lot more in the coming days. So, I mean, we will talk about it in the next show, which, as I mentioned, is going to be CPL heavy. Just want to end by the press release from the Football Association of Malaysia. When you do the translation on Twitter, it's how it's worded just made me laugh, because it's like the Association of Malaysia announced Robert Douglas Friend, better known as Rob Friend from Canada.
Yeah. I saw that.
I just that just amused me, but yeah, I mean, we wish Rob all the very best. I mean, he just wants to grow football. He's got a love for football. We've spoken to him. I mean, you've got to know him a lot more than I have over the last many years, even before his involvement with the CPL even began. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. We'll chat about that next week. I think we'll cut this part here. It's been a long first part. We'll be back with our feature interview for the show, where I sat down this afternoon with Whitecaps CEO and sporting director Axel Schuster. Some very interesting little tidbits and nuggets that we chatted about. Go stick the kettle on and grab your biscuit of choice for that one. So we'll be back with that after we get back to our festive 15. We gave it a break for the Christmas show, and for anyone that's new, hasn't been listening to the show before, in homage to the late, great John Peel and his festive 50, we have our AFTN Festive 15, my favourite 15 tracks of the year. We have had 12 so far. The 3 songs that are filling the top 3 spots are going to be in this show, and we're kicking it off with the song that comes in at number 3 after this.
Hey, I'm Fafa Pico, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
I feel alive in the city that you like. And wait for the day to go dreaming right by. Seems so hard not to be free when you walk right beside me. In the modern world, I don't feel anything. In the modern world, I don't feel bad. Child, yeah. I don't feel bad. I feel alive in the city you despise. supposed to be. If it matters, you complete me. Yeah. In the modern world, I don't feel anything. In the modern world, I don't feel bad. Charlie. I don't feel bad. In the modern world, I don't feel, no, I don't feel bad. As long as I've known, as long as I've known, as long as I've known, there's no feeling to draw. Maybe the reason that I belong. As long as I've known, there's no feeling to draw. Maybe the reason that I belong. I feel alive in the city that you lie. In the modern world, I don't feel anything. In the modern world, I don't feel bad. Charlie, yeah. Wow. So don't feel bad. In the modern world, I don't feel, no, I don't feel. I don't feel bad. Charlene, yeah. Wow. I don't feel bad.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. It's the song that comes in at number 3 in AFTN's 2024 Festive 15 from Dublin in Ireland, Fontaines, DC, with the 4th single to be released from their 4th studio album, Romance. The single was released on August 20th, and that was In the Modern World. And we've got our top 2 songs still to come in this year's Festive 15. Who is going to take those top 2 spots? We'll find out at the starts of part 3 and part 4. But for this part, we're getting back to the football chat, and it's time for this episode's feature interview, and it's a special one for our New Year's special, as we are joined by Whitecaps CEO and Sporting Director Axel Schuster to take a little look back at what was the year 2024 and look ahead to what may be to come for the Caps in 2025 and maybe even a little beyond. So, Axel, thank you for coming back on to the show, especially at this time of year. I mean, first thing got to ask you is, how was your Christmas?
My Christmas has been really good. It's always the time when I go back to Germany, also because I have so many family members and I cannot expect all of them to come to Canada. So it's a time where I see everyone. We have a mixed version of Canadian and German Christmas, because normally Christmas Eve is the big day in Germany. But we continued with we implemented the tradition that my daughter gets the gifts on first Christmas Day morning. So she puts out the cookies and the carrots for Santa and his reindeer. And so it's always a wonderful time, really, of the year for us all, especially also because it's a pretty calm moment where you really can enjoy family life.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you say calm. It's like, this is probably the uncalmest build up to Christmas that you've had since your time in the Whitecaps. What we're going to do with you today is we're going to take you through a little journey where you're going to be visited by three spirits of season past, season present, and season of what is yet to come, which bears no similarity at all to any traditional Christmas story that's been around for lots of years. This is set at New Year, so it's totally different. In this, though, you will play the role of Axel Schuster, and I will play the three ghosts. And we'll start with a little visit from the ghost of Christmas past. Oh, season past. I already slipped up there. But basically, in all seriousness, I asked Vanni this in his last press conference, and I got a very long answer. I don't know if you'll do the same or not, but if you were to sum up 2024 in one word, what would that word be?
You asked me to sum up in one word and you say you expect a long answer. That makes no sense.
I don't expect a long answer. I'm hoping for one word and then I'll kind of expand.
It's a good question. I would say, can I have two?
Yes.
I would say missed opportunity.
That is very interesting because I have got those two words written down here for this part of it. Let's get straight into that then. I mean, that's exactly how I feel that the season has been as well. It's 50th anniversary, so much hope going into it, big crowds, a lot of things, as we talked about when you gave your press conference, so many things out of your hands, but it felt this was a pinnacle year to take the club to the next level. And I'm thinking, with you saying those words, you feel it just didn't get there.
Yeah, it's true. I would say it was a little bit of time between the last game and also the things that happened then after the season. There have been obviously some things that have been better, and we have stabilized on certain performances. I think also that there has been improvements, and our playoff series has proven that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, especially because the playoff series has proven how far we have come and how much we have developed this team over the years, and what a very good performance of this team can look like. It feels even more as a missed opportunity this season. We have been 7 games to go in the regular season. We have been virtually fifth, and we have given that completely out of hand to compete for 4 or 5 or even better.
Mm-hmm.
We have missed the opportunity to excite our supporters and fans that have bought tickets. We had a record crowd in the history of MLS, not in one game, in average. And we had the second worst home performance in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
We still speak about a stable and okay season, but it was a missed opportunity to show up better and to use the momentum that I thought we got in the playoff series in 2023, when everyone, although we got beaten by LA, everyone felt like, wow, this looks different now. And we're excited to look forward to the next season. And we could see it in ticket numbers. We could see it with another more than 27,000, another upper ball open game in the season opener. And we had a pretty good start to the season. That was the best start since I'm here in the club. We collected a lot of points right at the beginning of the season. And then a lot of missed opportunities to then really do this step forward that I expected from ourselves at that point. And so it's now up to us to do this step at least next season. And for that reason, it hasn't been the calmest Christmas, because we're working on that. But we also, as I said, see some of the positive. Looking back, we see some of the positives, especially in the playoff games. And with the coaches that I'm speaking right now, I say, please look at the playoff games, and that's the bar. That's the starting point for next season.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we want to start. That should be our basic performance. And we all know that you then have the one or the other. I always say in a season you have 4 days off, where nothing gets you never you don't get anything together. That happens to every team. But other than those games where we have a complete off day, this should be our basic performance, what we have seen in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to dwell too much on what's past, because what's past is past. With getting rid of Vanni, last thing we'll talk about really in the past. I mean, have you second guessed yourself at any point since then, with the news of the sale coming through, which obviously you knew for months was in the works? I guess it would have been easy just to keep him for another year, have the stability, and then with new owners, new broom, everything like that. I mean, it's a ballsy then choice with all the turbulence that's going on then to make that decision. Have you had any doubts about it, or are you totally convinced it was the right decision?
No, other than you all, I knew about the situation that would and what would happen in the second week of December or first week of December. And of course, I can tell you that I had some not sleepless nights, but I had some evenings where I was sitting at home, was thinking, is this all the right moment, or should we do it or not? But before the decision, but I believe in that I have to do what I'm convinced of, what will help us to be better in the future. And I cannot make decisions that I do because I think they are easier to sell, or they will be received better, or people will like them more. If I'm not convinced that this decision will help us in the future, because at the end I will hate myself for not doing this decision. And of course, there's no hindsight. So we can play a very good season next year with a coach change and without a coach change. That was always clear. But the belief that we need new energy, and that especially the end, and let's park the playoff games, because the playoff games have been very special. And I've told the team in several communications I had with them, even for Christmas, how proud I have been about this group, how they have stepped up in the playoffs, especially in Portland when we had to go on the road. But the playoff games are the playoff games. We had not enough energy in the regular season in the many games, and especially in the last 7. And so we need fresh new start. We need that. It's really what I feel and what I'm convinced of. And then I cannot park this decision, because I knew that in December there is another big announcement that actually was only the start of a process that maybe takes longer than the next season. And why holding back a decision that I'm convinced of for something that might not even happen next year?
No, and like, just for the record, I've said it on the show, I think it was the right decision. It's a tough decision, and I think it needed just new life to come in. And I say that I love and respect Vanni and everything that he did. One thing I never asked you, no one really asked you about at the press conference when you announced his departure, when you're weighing everything up, the off-field antics, the suspensions, everything like that, did that play any factor into it at all?
The decision was not based on any of those off-pitch behaviors. That this is an area where Vanni has to grow and to learn, and that I am a person who allows mistakes, and I expect everyone to grow and to learn from mistakes, is a different thing. But I would say that he has learned a lot from what happened at the end of 23, and that I also want to have a coach who is emotional, and you cannot coach in an emotional way with not getting to the red line. I think then sometimes you are a step over this line, and that happens. I don't think that Vanni in any way is a complicated coach on this thing to manage and to deal with. There are so many coaches that I have worked with that have been very, very challenging and complicated in their emotions. and Vanni is just one other of them, and that is his strength. And at some little moments, it is also his weakness. But this is not any part, or it has not been any part of any of my decisions that I have made now.
Okay, I thought it was good to get that on record because it's something we've talked about in the show and pondered. So I mean, it's good to know. But I mean, that's the shadows of the things that have been. We'll now get the second ghost in of present day, and I mean, it's a turbulent off season, and I'm pretty sure you're not going to do a big reveal on our show as to who the new coach is. But I mean, you can if you want. But I mean, I'm assuming you're not going to. I'll ask you a few things about it without obviously asking you who it is. But what was the interest level like? Like, did you have a high quality level of applications, bearing in mind some of the constraints that are maybe on the coach of playing style, maybe keeping the same coaching staff, stuff like that?
Yeah, we had an unbelievable number of applications. I have to say, this is the second time we have a openness, and although we never had one in the first time, but because Vanni stayed and was so successful. But for 3 months, it was an open job because we had not made the decision then to keep him. And we got a lot of applications at that time. I have to say that MLS has grown a lot. I wouldn't say that this is only related to the Whitecaps. The amount of applications and the names that have applied for the job has been interesting and impressive. I apologize to everyone who listened to this show and I haven't responded because it was at some point really too many. And we really had to take a little bit of the time to look into those candidates to get a feeling who of them can make it to our shortlist. And this is not meant with any disrespect to the others. So for that reason, I will not speak about any name because there have been a lot of amazing candidates, but some of them we cannot afford. Some of them are not the right style at this point. We have a certain expectation on what we want to get from a coach. And one thing that I would point out here is no revolution. We don't want to have any revolution. As I said, we want somebody who takes it over from the point that we have seen at the playoffs and who puts in enough new energy, also obviously changes a few things, who also has not a complete different, but maybe a little bit of a different approach to things. And with that creates a new environment that then keeps us going from the level of the playoffs. And we also look for somebody who respects what we have built here. That is the other thing that I mean with no revolution. I don't want to bring in somebody in who says he wants to bring in a performance coach and a medical staff and 3 assistant coaches and a goalkeeper coach and whatever. I've lately seen some reports where coaches in the top 5 leagues are coming with 16 staff members. No, we will allow a coach to bring in 1 assistant coach. This is something we were looking at. Even if we would not have changed the coach, we would have looked for another assistant coach. It is very demanding to play this amount of games in this short period of time, 49 games in 8 months. Another coach, assistant coach can really help here also because we want to focus a little bit more also on some younger players in the next season that we have already acquired or that we have on at the jump from the MLS Next Pro to the first team. So we want to give them a little bit more attention. And that doesn't mean in playing time. They have to deserve the playing time, but in preparing them for playing time and giving them some more individual training. So that's literally what it is. All of this has to fit together. And yeah, there was still a pretty long and good list of candidates, and we have worked through them, and we're down to 3. And the thing is that everyone is good and everyone is different. That if you would put all those 3 next to each other, There are very little similarities, and they are probably all in the area they are non-negotiable, but they are very different than in all the other areas. And so we are in a very interesting point to make now a decision what we rate higher and what we think is more important or more helpful of the other tools that this coach brings. But yeah, I remain optimistic that for our first training on the pitch, we will have the new coach there, and that we will coach the team.
So you haven't actually settled on the candidate then. I must have picked you up wrong when we last spoke. I thought the decision had been made, but you've not made the decision yet.
Funny enough, one of the candidates actually reached out to me and said, "Oh, it sounds like you have made your decision, and it would have been good if you would have reached out to me before." And I said, "No, we haven't made this. I don't know where this is coming from. You guys, the second person who's telling me that. My inner circle, who is working with me on that, they are not under the impression that my decision has been made."
I think it was just how you worded it when we last spoke.
That's probably my non-native speaking. Sorry. The decision that was made, I have to say, is that we really have nailed down to 3 candidates,
Right.
and said, "Look, now we want to go with them all steps, discuss the term sheet. Would that work for you? This term sheet." Also the structure. It's not only about simply the dollars. I think that we put a very good offer together that we can also. I know the average salaries in our league, that we can pack a good package here. It is also the structure that we are working with, that every player is working with, that every staff member is working with. That is a very bonus based model. Your salary massively increases if you make the playoffs, and even more if you make it to the second round of the playoffs. What is for us actually now the starting point. And if somebody says, "This is the total amount that I would really like to earn," then this is something you get if you bring us to the second round of the playoffs. So I think that was what I said, that we have really nailed down, said one of the 3 will be our coach mid of January. But it's not that we have made a decision on one single candidate.
Right. I think it was because you had said about the work permit. It made it sound like you'd picked the person and you had to get.
I said work permit. I agree. And somebody picked it up and said, so with that, we know he is not.
Yeah, that was me.
A domestic coach. What I thought at this point, I could have corrected it already, but I wanted to keep it also a little bit of a vague thing. So, so good that I could correct it here.
Yes.
But we are definitely coming closer to the point where it will be only the one candidate.
Okay. I mean, I know you're not going to talk about names, but I wanted to put a name to you of a German that you'll know, David Wagner, because he could also act as a lookalike for you. If you wanted some time off, you could just put him at some events. Folk would think it was you. I mean, that's the best of both worlds.
and you know, obviously, you don't know that I have worked with David Wagner already. So I will not comment on any names. I would disagree on what you just said, but also
when you have a hat on, you look kind of similar.
Yeah, if we both have a hat on. He has way more hair than me, but I can also tell you that this criteria that the coach is looking like me is coming in somewhere on the 1 million in the ranking.
Oh. Okay. I'll rule out some
999,999 points that are more important than that.
I'll ask you one last thing on the coach, and you don't have to answer this. But I'm just trying to pull some things out. Would the coach be somebody new to MLS of these 3, or is one of these 3 got MLS experience?
No, one of the 3 has MLS experience.
Okay,
that's
a little teaser for
we
folk.
Really also I can tell you, and I'm that's actually maybe even more interesting for the listeners how we have approached it. We actually wanted to have, as I said, very different candidates that are only all fulfill the core criteria we have. But then we wanted to have different candidates because we thought that in the interview process, and with several people speaking with them and getting a feeling about this person, we may maybe learn what we need most or what we like more or what we think is a better addition to what we have. So for that reason, we have not tried to have 3 copies, and then we only go with who had a better day and was in a better form in the interview. We really try to go to very versatile candidates that also all obviously fit the key figures or the key things we were looking for. So that was actually the plan, and for that reason, the candidates are also having very different backgrounds.
Oh, that's interesting. The other big news this off-season is obviously the sale of the club. So just a couple of questions around that. How does it work now with the sale? So when Goldman Sachs gets somebody interested, do they tell you everything along the journey, or do they do vetting and then they only take what they feel is the really serious people to you?
There is a very staged process. So not everyone who reaches out to them or replies to Goldman Sachs and says, look, I would be interested, will directly be connected with me or the ownership. They have worked with us on a very extensive document that contains a lot of information. And so there will be a first step process where people can receive additional information from Goldman without speaking with us.
Right.
And I think that there has to be way more serious interest and also proof of seriousness behind all of this before Goldman then goes to that stage where they get connected with people at the club.
Okay. I mean, from the initial announcement, has there been a lot of interest? Do you know?
We have heard that some candidates have reached out to Goldman or have replied to Goldman, but I don't even know names. No one knows names yet because they are not at the stage where Goldman would say, "Look, we have checked them, also their financial background. They're a proper candidate who really could do such a deal." And now it goes to they request more information. Honestly, it's a process that will not be solved in days or weeks.
I'm expecting
as I
it to
said,
be
it
way
can
down
take
the
longer
line.
than the season.
Yeah.
So this will now. It was only important that we get ahead of this process because Goldman actually wanted to send out their teasers, and then we will find somebody who will tell somebody about this, and it will leak. And then and our ownership group had not the chance to announce it by themselves and to address it to the people in Vancouver. At that day when we announced, nothing happened before that. So, and then now we went into the holiday season. So Goldman, they think that everything really will kick off at 6th of January. And then I think at some point we will get more information.
I mean, obviously, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of uncertainty. Will the team stay here? And for all, I mean, there's nothing really that you can say 100% that can allay those fears because it's just all unknown, sadly. I mean, everyone wants the team to stay here, but I mean, the reality is it's a lot of money. And it's so different in MLS to like around the world. And I mean, what would your message be to the fans for this season to come?
For this season, I think the main message to come for this season is that we are working on an improved product. And I think the best we can do to convince somebody, if this person is from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada or not, to buy the club in Vancouver and to continue to operate in Vancouver is to showcase that this is a community club that plays good soccer, that generates a lot of interest, that has good ticket numbers, audience numbers, that this is something that is meaningful in Vancouver. Because I think somebody who wants to do this, yes, he has to put a lot of money on the table, But if you do this, you also want to have some joy with that. And the best we can do right now is to prove that this is a project that creates a lot of fun. And I think we had a lot of those moments. And I think if I just go back a few weeks, the game in Portland or the home game against LFC were very, very joyful moments. We won 3 Canadian championships. We are right now the best team in Canada. So if you find somebody who is interested in Canada, then we are actually right now a very good choice. Now it's our job to prove that this is continuing. As I always say, we want to do development, and we're not going for the magic one season, but next season we want to do a better season. And this means like doing clearly a step forward to where we wanted to be already this season. But then if we can add another season that is better than last season, we had like 3 really good seasons. And I think then you can speak about that the one or the other season could have been better. But I think we are then a very stable playoff team, what you not can say about every club in this league. So yeah, that's our job, making it attractive, making it a club that you want to own and that you want to have in Vancouver.
I won't keep you for too much longer because I do appreciate it's during the festive thing. So we'll kind of move on to the season that is yet to come, or seasons that is yet to come. And I don't know how much you can confirm on this because it's just stuff that is out there. But like Fafa Pico has obviously said goodbye to the Vancouver fans on his Instagram. There's the rumours or reports down in Colombia that Diber Caicedo is going back to junior. And I don't know, I haven't seen Twitter today, so I don't know if that's confirmed or not. But obviously that leaves a big hole attacking-wise in the team. Is that like a priority for you right now to fill that hole or holes in attack? Could we see my dream come true and you bring Johnny Russell here?
Look, everything is possible in this sport.
I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah, so I can only say thank you to Fafa. He was an amazing player to work with. I think we all needed Fafa this year. We needed him on and off the pitch. Whoever has heard something about Fafa that is not positive is definitely heard the wrong thing about him. He's an amazing teammate, somebody who supports his teammates, who also is not a selfish forward at all on the pitch. And he was a little bit of the missing piece we had. And I can only say thank you to him because in the middle of the season, he was struggling for various reasons, but some of them also have been related to his private life, his family being that far away from Florida, where his family lives. And that was the first time in his career that this happened. And you only discover it if you are in this situation. And I can tell everyone who luckily never had to deal with something like that, having your core family members in not at least, let's say, 1-2 flight hours, it's a concerning thing because you know you cannot make it there in time, maybe, if something very serious happens. And if we all unfortunately get older, your parents get older, and they need more support, this becomes more and more of a thing. Fafa is an outstanding professional because in the middle of the season, we did a handshake and we said, we stick together, we make this the best season possible. And at the end of the year, I will look very open in his situation. And if there is something that is better for his life, I will not be his problem. And now he has found something. It isn't announced yet, but I know that he has found something. And I'm super happy for him. But I'm also very grateful that he has been such a professional for 6 months, although he had a challenging time. And there were really questions about his professionalism and how much he is still in Vancouver, that he has proven everyone in Vancouver how good as a teammate and soccer player he is. And now I'm happy that he found a good solution. It wouldn't have helped us to keep him here with all those challenges after our agreement in the middle of the year. And this is sometimes how it is in our sport. And I think we all win from it, because we have somebody who is playing in this league somewhere else, and he will speak very positively about our organization, and that also matters for me.
Yeah, I think that's important. It's something the club's not been good at in the early years at MLS. And like we spoke to Fafa a few times on the show, lovely guy, had some really good chats with him, long chats, as I'm sure you could imagine. And it's like it's tough. Like I lost both my parents in the last 2 years, and from being so far away and trying to sort things out with my dad after my mum died, it's tough. And as you say, until you're in that situation, you can't really fully appreciate everything. Just looking then, last two things I'll ask you. Can we expect an influx of players soon, or do you need to get the new coach in place first?
No, we don't need a first new coach. I have big trust in the group that we have built there on the analytics and scouting and the recruitment side. We have very strong processes there. It is actually a joy for me to chat with them, and I think at some point it would be really important to give them the chance to come to your show and speak about their life and their work, and to share a little bit more of what they do, because they're a little bit in the background and they don't get enough credit for the lot of work that they do.
Yeah.
So I don't think we will announce a player before the coach, but that's only because of the timelines right now. And it has nothing to do with that the coach is needed to make this decision. It might be that we have already done the paperwork for a player, but we will not have him announced. We obviously are focusing on offensive players with the players that are leaving. We also feel that the way we play, that we need a little bit more of depth offensively, because we burn out our players otherwise, and that doesn't help our best players either. So I think that we are pretty deep in the defense. Even a guy like Bilal, who I see he will play more minutes next season. In every game he played, he was like very, very good, has not made any mistakes against top teams like LAFC. And he hasn't seen a lot of playing time. With our draft pick, we are also covered on the left side now. Eddie Ocampo, we haven't seen a lot from him, so we are very good on the right side. Centrally, it's anyway one of our best parts of the whole team, with Kubas, with Stewart, with Peter Rita, with Ryan Gold, with Ali, who can play centrally, but Ali can also play wide. So it really comes down to have a little bit more firepower and more depth up top, so that Ryan White has not to play every game 90 minutes and then loses some of his energy and momentum. We expect to bring in two players. Depends also on who will leave or not. Not saying that all the news are wrong, but I'm also not saying that all of the news are true, but it might happen. And then we are best prepared already to fill in these gaps. And I also think that Super and Casuelo will get closer to the first team. He unfortunately had a little bit of a difficult season with injuries and national team appearances. He got called up to every international window to Africa and Tanzania, and had to travel around the globe, and came back every time very exhausted from those trips. But I think in the first part of the season, he has shown his talent, and even our Canadian Championship game, he looked very, very sharp and dangerous. So I think we have a few more options there, but we will also bring in a few more options. And other than that, if no other player leaves, not that anyone has knocked at my door right now, we are pretty good, and we will wait for opportunities and see if he can pick up something lately. But again, I said it before, we also want to give a real chance to some of the young Canadians or young next pro players that have played really good. We will bring all of them to Spain again. And that is a good group of players with Michal and Finn and Liam and Dembo and Cyprian, plus the two that Nick and Jivan, who we always signed. So we have a lot of young players, and I think that is the thing where we will wait until the new coach has coached this team and trained with this team for 3-4 weeks. If we then need one other piece at some place on the pitch, but the area we are working already on is obviously the offense, and we will bring in players there for sure.
Excellent. So just last thing from me, I started off by asking you for one word to sum up 2024. If we're sitting here in a year's time, what is the one word or two words that you would hope you're going to be using to sum up how 2025 has been?
There were so many things I would like to say. I also want to keep it quite realistically.
Yeah, MLS Cup champs, like quadruple winners, like anything like that.
I would go with, after missed opportunity, I would go with positive surprise.
That sounds a very nice way to end it. Thank you for giving up your time. Really appreciate it. I know you've been a little bit ill as well, so your voice held out, so that's been good. Well, enjoy the rest of your time in Germany. We will see you in the new year with the new coach, I'm sure, as well, and really appreciate this, and Happy New Year to you and your family, Axel.
Same for you and for all the listeners. Thank you very much.
Whitecaps CEO and Sporting Director Axel Schuster there. Really do appreciate Axel giving up so much time during the festive period over in Germany with his family. And a good chat with him there. A lot of stuff to unpack, which we'll do on the next show. Give everyone a chance to kind of digest some of the stuff that was said. And Zach and me will kind of dig into that a little bit, but some good talking points. So no new Whitecaps coach appointed just yet, but they are down from the 5 that they were interviewing down to the final 3. Obviously, something was a little bit lost in translation in our last chat there, when it sounded like the appointment had been made, but it hasn't yet, but should be done by the time that the team get back into training mode, round about January 10th to 13th. And interesting that at least one, I think just one of the 3, does have MLS experience. I quite like the fact that it sounds like it's 3 very different coaching profiles as well. And I mean, it's a big appointment. There's no getting away from that. We've talked about it on the show. It has to be the right appointment. It has to be an appointment that makes the fans feel that there has been progression from the 2024 season. So we'll keep an eye on that and see how all of that plays out. Some new players look to be coming in as well, at least 2, looking at the offensive side, and keeping my fingers crossed still that Johnny Russell could be one of the players to fill the hole in the attack that we've got just now. A few other interesting little tidbits to come out from Axel there, so we'll dig into that in next week's show. That's it for the Whitecaps chat through these first 2 parts. We're going to bring you another one of our end of year reviews next, and that is going to be looking at the Canadian national teams at men, women and youth level. It's been a very interesting 2024, successful on the pitch, turbulent off it. We'll chat about all of that after we hear the song that comes in at number 2 in our festive 15.
Hi, I'm Katie Collar, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Every night when the sky turns red up above, I feel the beat in my veins and I'm searching for love. You know that hips don't lie and leave you hypnotized. Just give me one more try to make you feel that vibe. When you do my body and a weapon, we're gonna hit the floor. We're gonna make you happen. You'll give me some more. I will push you to the limit, and everybody's feeling the sound of the night. I don't wanna stop. We push you to the limit. Together we will crush the morning light. Boom, boom, boom.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part from Germany and Japan, it's Electric Callboy with Baby Metal and their single that was released on May 23rd this year. And it's the song that comes in at number 2 in our Festive 15 as the two prominent pioneers of dance metal came out with a fantastic combination song, Rat-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. A fantastic song, great video as well. Check it out, and there's some really good live performances from festivals this summer around the world. That is the song that has come in at number 2. Who is going to take the esteemed number 1 slot? We'll find out at the start of the next part. Who's your money on? Well, back to the football chat now, and we've done a few kind of years in review so far. November, December, we've done the Whitecaps, we've done Vancouver FC, Pacific. We'll do a kind of a full CPL kind of year in review, but also looking ahead to the future in the next episode. We're also going to do that for League One and have a look at some of the year in review in the college game as well, and what was a very successful college season for the BC universities and schools. But in this final episode of 2024, we're going to look at arguably the biggest success stories and biggest disappointments and controversies in Canadian football in 2024, and they all revolved around the Canadian national teams at men's level, at women's level, at youth level. It's been an interesting 2024 and certainly a lot to talk about as we'll unpack some of that here. What a 2024 it was for Canada's senior national teams, both in good and bad ways. A lot of highs for both. Not as many lows for the men, but certainly sometimes that just really you want to forget on the women's side. I mean, for many, 2024 will be remembered as the year of Dronegate, the whole Olympic scandal, and the subsequent fallout from it that is still going on and will carry on into 2025. On the men's side, they were on fire. And CONCACAF and CONMEBOL defences were certainly terrified. The Canadian men's national team is where we will kick this review off, and they moved up 4 spots in the final FIFA Men's World Rankings, rising to number 31, marking the highest FIFA ranking in Canadian men's national team history, beating the previous high that was achieved in February 2022 of 33. And 2024 saw one of the most successful years in men's national team history. 14 games played, 6 wins, 5 draws, 3 losses. They only scored 14 goals, averaging out at 1 a game, but a lot of that was the start of the year where they were struggling to put the ball in the back of the net. But in the games that really mattered, they found the goal-scoring touch. They also tightened up at the back, keeping 8 clean sheets over those 14 games over the year. In March, Canada qualified for their first ever Copa America after defeating Trinidad and Tobago in a 1-game playoff in Frisco, Texas. Then the big news of the year, the big turning point really of the year, May 13th, saw the appointment of Jesse Marsch as MLS Canada head coach of the men's national team, to give him his full title. And again, I said when we said this at the time, it'll be the only time we mention that. We'll mention it again in this year in review, but he is just the Canadian men's national team head coach, Jesse Marsch. After his appointment, it was a baptism of fire for Marsch. Canada played 2 away friendlies against the Netherlands and France. They went down to defeat in Rotterdam, quite a heavy one as well, before grinding out a very impressive draw in Bordeaux against the French. They then headed off to their first ever Copa America in the US, and a historic tournament in many ways for them, and result-wise, finishing fourth at Copa. They were drawn in a tough Group A, but it was a group we said at the time that we felt that if they played to their strengths and with the form of a couple of teams in the group, they had a chance of advancing, and that's exactly what they did. They started the tournament off going down to an impressive and a very good performance in a 2-0 defeat to World Cup champions Argentina on June 20th. They followed it up 5 days later in Kansas City with a 1-0 win over Peru. Jonathan David getting Canada's historic first ever goal in Copa, a 74th minute winner. And then it was the big one, June 29th, a 0-0 draw with Chile saw them advance to the knockout stage, second in the group on 4 points. And that set up a very intriguing quarterfinal matchup with Venezuela. That one took place in Arlington, Texas on July 5th, and they took the lead. Jacob Schaffelberg in the 13th minute. They were pegged back. A howler from Max Crepeau allowed Jose Rondon to tie things up. The game headed into penalties. Canada going through 4-3 overall. Ishmael Coney with a decisive sudden death kick. And that set up a semi-final rematch against Argentina. And once again, they went down to a 2-0 defeat. A goal in the first half from Julian Alvarez. Second half, decisive goal from Lionel Messi gave Argentina the 2-0 victory and meant Canada had to play Uruguay in the third place playoff game. It was a 2-2 draw. It looked like Canada had managed to get the win. Jonathan David in the 80th minute to make it 2-1. But Luis Suarez, 92nd minute, his teeth are offside. His teeth are offside. Luis Suarez, his teeth are offside. He got the equaliser, sent the game to penalties, and this time Canada sadly went down 4-3 on penalty kicks. Ishmael Coney, the hero from the quarterfinal shootout, one of the ones to miss, as was Alphonso Davies. But a fourth place finish for Canada overall. Nothing to be sniffed at all. So, I mean, Zach, we'll talk about a lot of the year, but first of all, just looking at that Copa performance, how do you look back on that amazing summer tournament?
Yeah, I think there's a few lenses in which we need to look at it. Number one, I think for Jesse Marsh and the coaching staff, they got the most that they possibly could in terms of the number of games, right? Like going in, they were guaranteed the 3 games. They played whatever, I think all 6 that they could have played, or whatever it was, plus the friendlies, I think, before that. So from that perspective, I think it was great. I think it was incredible. They got the maximum number of quality games against non-CONCACAF teams that they could. And then obviously they came in the top 4 at a Copa, which is, crazy and awesome. So yeah, the performance on the pitch I thought was really, really good. You saw how Marsh could get them playing as a team and in a specific way. We saw individual errors, that cost games, and that's obviously a massive part of football.
Especially at that top level as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We saw some of the horrific things you see when Comnable. Then the officiating.
Officiating, the whole Uruguay thing that still rankles as to how they weren't banned for the third place game. And the insanity at the final of climbing through vents and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Little diehard action there. Did anything ever come of it?
I was just thinking that as soon as I said that. I was like, I haven't even heard any more about that. I have to look into that.
Yeah, because that was crazy. But again, probably in some sense a good experience for the Canadians to go through all those difficulties. And then some huge standout performances, David scoring, Schaffelberg,
Oh,
massive. It was great. It was encouraging after the World Cup in 2022, where we were good, but not quite good enough. And then I think you saw things like off the field stuff impact things, like unfortunate statements, by John Herdman, which derailed I think played a factor emotionally and mentally in the Croatia match, um, and then succumbing to Morocco, and then the long road to get to Copa, which was not ideal. I think this kind of restored a lot of people's faith in the side and their abilities and their potential. And so yeah, all in all, I think it was great. I think also for those players, it got them exposure. What's the other thing? The one thing that was obviously tragic, and I don't know if I've even fully seen enough of him to know really if he's the same player, is the broken leg from Tejan. That was tragic,
I'd
and
forgotten about that actually.
that was also like, I think if you have him, I think that maybe could change some of those later games down like as the tournament went on. I think he definitely is an X factor or has the potential to be. But yeah, anyways, the Copa for the men was amazing, and supposedly we didn't cheat at it, so that was good too.
Yeah, always a plus.
Yeah.
So Copa over. It was a couple of friendlies next for Canada, and they defeated the US for the first time on US soil since 1957 in an international friendly in September, before drawing against Mexico in an international friendly in the same window. They then returned home for their first home game in 11 matches, defeating Panama in a friendly in Toronto in October. And then finally, Canada qualified for the 2025 CONCACAF Nations League finals and the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup, following two home and away wins against Suriname in November. An amazing year just in general, Zach. And when you look back at it, Zach, it's genuinely hard to believe that Jesse Marsh was only appointed not only this year, but just in May. It feels he has been there just for the longest time already, in a good way.
Yeah, and when he was hired, I was, I don't know, I'd say somewhat optimistic, but yeah, I would have loved if we didn't have to hire American. I would have loved if we didn't hire someone from the Dead Bull who'd been, played a bunch in the Dead Bull system. But what he's done has made even someone like me say, "Oh, okay, there's some good fruit here. Let's see, let's see how far this can go." It's almost like he has reached a point where, like, I think Herdman did with the women, but way quicker, if you will. And definitely what Herdman did with the men, but again, way quicker. So I think and it goes beyond like results and even tactics and whatever. It's the, how shall we call it, like the community building, man management side of things. So he's
How he carries himself off the
totally,
pitch as well.
totally,
Speak to media, to fans,
totally.
all the community stuff he's doing. He wants to learn about the Canadian ecosystem. He's put in the groundwork. He's put in the legwork. He's gone to events. He's doing more. And I mean, you look at our frenemies south of the border. Do you think they regret not pulling the trigger earlier on Greg Berhalter when they see what Jesse Marsh has done here? Or would they not even have considered him, do you think? Would he not have been high profile enough for them?
Well, yeah, probably not, right? Probably not for them. I think with the Berhalter thing down there, I, I don't know. I can't remember all the details around their situation, but I think for them, I think they felt like they needed to keep Berhalter a little bit because of what happened coming out of the World Cup or at the World Cup and post World Cup. So to me, it felt like they had to give him more of a chance or of a run, if you will. I say that without commentary in terms of
Yeah.
being right or wrong, but
Yeah, I think they wanted some stability and just to try and see if he could turn it around. But I mean, it wasn't looking good from an early stage. I mean, the
yeah,
other thing to ask about Jesse Marsh is, has he now kind of got us all like what John Herdman had going into the World Cup? Has he swept us along on this red and white tide, and have our expectations gone maybe higher than they should at this point?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, you could say that. But I think that, like John Herdman, the way he's talking about what Canada should expect or could achieve, I think he's talking about it in the right way, right? And it's a motivational way. It's a should be doing this because we're at the level where we should, as opposed to, hey, we're gonna go out and win because I said so, or whatever. Like it's he's done the things that make you believe, okay, yeah, that us getting into knockout games and then yeah, he showed it in the Copa, getting into knockout games and then be able to get things done.
Yeah, you just don't want to have peaked too soon, and then the
No.
cup comes and it's like, oh, our best year was 2024.
Yeah, no, but I mean, yeah, in one sense, 2026 is it's almost like I was playing the other day. We had family over and stuff, and so we were playing. We had FIFA on, and we played the 3-on-3, the Volta or whatever, right? And so we were playing for a little bit, and it was like we're in. I think we were in Tokyo. We're in like some box, and you need to kick it off the wall, whatever. And then we switch games or switch teams or whatever. And we were like, oh, let's play on a different court. And then we chose a different court, and it was like a wider pitch, no boards, like a basketball court, like in what's the Venice Beach or something. And it was just like it was almost like a completely different game. And I think the 2026 World Cup is a little bit different because of the 48 teams. So I think the 2026 gives sides an ability to gain momentum in a way that I don't think you have before, including maybe going into a knockout game where you get that kind of experience of winning a knockout game that you wouldn't normally have, right? Because of the extra knockout round. And so I think not just for Canada, but for a number of sides, that could be really, really beneficial, because we know tournament football, and I know this as a German really well, tournament football is a different kettle of fish, right? Like you need to do things differently. And there's been for example, there's been a lot of Germany teams that have been done really well at tournaments, and they haven't been the best individual players at the tournament, but they've been able to manage, is not a word I love, but manage, right? And so Jesse Marsh and the other 47 managers are going to have to not be able to break the same playbook that other coaches have at all previous World Cups. There's going to be different elements. I think different elements to that, newer elements that everyone's going to be facing all at the same time. And so I think that provides opportunities for, let's say, further lower ranked countries to kind of outperform themselves. And so I think Canada could live up to some of the expectations I think Marsh has been setting.
Yeah, and Jesse, we trust, and looking forward to seeing now what he does in his second year in charge of the national team. Jesse Marsh is going to be travelling across the country, hosting coaching workshops for provincial coaches in Canada in January, with coaches from all the provinces and territories getting a chance to attend one. He's going to be in Vancouver at the end of January. Be interesting to see if there's any maybe media availability around that as well. But he's been fantastic, and looking forward to seeing what might be in store in 2025. And but we'll come to that shortly. Turning our attention to the women's side, the women obviously had an eventful year both on and off the pitch. It was the first post-Christine Sinclair year, and they played 18 games, going unbeaten outside of penalty kicks. They recorded 11 wins and 7 draws from those 18 games. They scored 36 goals, kept 9 clean sheets, but lost in the Gold Cup semis to the US on penalties, the She Believes Cup final to the US on penalties, and in the Olympic quarterfinals to Germany on, yep, you guessed it, penalties. Drone Gate, though, is sadly what this year will be remembered for the team. It's always kind of the drama and the scandals that get all the attention, not going unbeaten on the year. And I mean, you still really feel for the players, all their achievements that they had undermined by just some acts of sheer stupidity. And it's a scandal that has caused people to lose their jobs. The investigations still aren't done, and there'll be more ramifications and disciplinary action that is going to get announced on that come 2025. So, Zach, just quick thoughts from you on the women's national team in 2024.
Yeah. It was a strange one. I mean, the things that
Tumultuous.
the things that unfolded and the way they unfolded and where and when they unfolded were, yeah, in one sense, they were tragic for Canadian football. And we've only so far ridden the first few ripples of that. And I think it's going to be interesting to talk about it after we it's all fully sorted out, right? It's interesting when you said, I hadn't been thinking of this. Oh, they were undefeated in games if you don't count penalty kicks. I was like, oh wow, like that makes it sound like really good. I was really happy. Vanessa Jill was given Player of the Year, right?
Yeah.
I'm really, really happy for that. I thought she at the Olympics was absolutely incredible, both as a defender, but also coming up with massive, massive goals that weren't simply like just, I'm big, I'm tall, I'm going to head it in. Like, she scored some goals with her feet that were really, really encouraging and massive. And that celebration and even some of her post-match interviews and all that kind of stuff, incredibly encouraging. Yeah, but I think when history looks back on 2024 for Canadian women's football, it's all going to be marred in this scandal of coaches and staff cheating.
Yeah,
And
it's
you
sad,
you
but
can't get away from them.
no, it's exactly that. You sadly can't. So I mean, let's hope they can turn the page for 2025 onwards now, and they just need to get all this settled as early as possible in the new year, so it's not hanging about any longer
Well,
than it actually is.
and the upside on that is what's happening with NSL, right? Like that is really all the work that's gone in, and I think they're kind of constantly nonstop working until probably the balls are kicked in April. But yeah, it's that's kind of like the good thing that was going on. I know it's not a national team, but it's a bunch of former national team players essentially running it also. That's the upside thing for women's football in Canada this year.
For sure. At least one of the good things to come from the fallout of Dronegate was it saw a young coach like Katie Collar get a fantastic opportunity to be part of the national team setup in a couple of camps, and she really enjoyed that, made the most of that, and is certainly a star on the rise and well deserved as well for what she's done with Whitecaps Girls Elite in the last 3 years. It also gave an opportunity in the last window to Cindy Tai, who had been in charge of the U20 women and was at the World Cup with them this past summer. And she got to take the senior team as well for that last camp in Spain and the couple of matches that they had there. Certainly an eventful year for Katie, an eventful year for Cindy. And I got the chance to speak to Cindy Tai a couple of times over the course of the year. So I saved this little bit of audio for our kind of year in review show, as I just asked Cindy to kind of reflect on what has been a very eventful year for her.
I wonder, what were your thoughts about getting the chance to lead the senior side?
Oh, well, I know we've spoken before, obviously, but of course, it's always an honor and privilege to be able to ask to serve in this capacity. So I think excitement, of course, a little bit of nerves, but I'm definitely excited for what's coming up in the next couple weeks.
And forgive me for asking this seconds into your appointment, but is it a job you're interested in on a full-time basis?
Right now, Neil, my focus is I'm a full-time employee at Dalhousie, and they've been wonderful in letting me have this opportunity, and that's where my focus and my future will lie here at Dalhousie. I honor the opportunity to do this, and I think it's a chance for me just to support the group through this transitional period, and then continue on with my U20 group.
When we last spoke, it was during the Under-20 World Cup. So, I mean, it's been quite the year for you. A lot of different opportunities, a lot of different challenges. Dalhousie hosting nationals. Just talk a little bit about the year that you've had.
Wow, yeah, it is, you're definitely right. It has been full, but when it's full of football and the things that I get to do, it's definitely a privilege. I'm humbled by those opportunities, and each one of them has offered something different. My role as a coach is layered for sure, but one of the biggest things I love to do is try to impact people in a positive way, and I get to do that in a lot of different environments. And this opportunity is a similar thing. So I'm excited for it.
And you're in quite a unique position, really, I guess, because you're involved with the college game, you're involved with the national team. There's going to be an NSL team now in Halifax as well. How do you see all of that working together? And like as a coach of a big college program, and now having this NSL team, are you hoping to work hand in hand with the Tides and then bring these players forward into, say, the U20 setup and beyond?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think there's a lot of different avenues with the addition of this team. The professional league gives opportunity and a pathway for our U Sport and NCAA kids that are traveling through. And definitely, even during the nationals last week, we had the opportunity. The Tides had a training camp in and around the area that included a lot of NCAA and U Sport kids. So with that, being able to work together in those environments and trying to make connections, I think it helps make it easier for those players to do what they want to do.
Cindy Ty there, and Cindy was in charge of the women's under-20 side that were at the Women's World Cup this past summer. They were bounced out in the quarter-final stage after finishing in third place in their group on goal difference. And we talked about this at the time, just didn't go for the jugular the way that they needed to rack some goals up in a game. It cost them. It meant they had a tough quarter-final to Spain, which they did open the scoring in before falling to a 2-1 defeat. But not a bad showing overall at the U20 World Cup. Sadly, the men were not going to be joining them after being knocked out of the CONCACAF U20 qualifiers in the decisive stage, really, to Panama in extra time in very controversial circumstances. Horrible refereeing in that one, robbing them really of a place at the Under-20 World Cup. But there's a lot of good talent coming through at U20 level, at U17 level, on both the men and the women's side, and just individually, just in general throughout the game in Canada. And Canada Soccer did their usual end of season awards this past month as well. And on the women's side, Vanessa Gilles, who plays her club football with Olympique Lyonnais, and Lille's Jonathan David were named the 2024 Canada Soccer Female and Male Players of the Year, respectively. Gilles is a first-time winner, while David takes the award home for the second time after winning the prize in 2019. In the vote for the women's top players, Gilles finished first ahead of runner-up Jessie Fleming, with Evelyn Viens, Kadisha Buchanan and Ashley Lawrence making up the top five. And in the men's side, behind Jonathan David, was a runner-up Moise Bombito, and top five finishers Alistair Johnston, Jacob Schaffelberg and Alfonso Davis. And I thought, very good year for those, and I think some deserved winners there. We'll get Zach's thoughts on that in a sec. And as good a year as it was for the national team as a whole, it was a fantastic personal one for Jonathan David. He scored 5 goals, tallied 3 assists in his 14 men's national team appearances, and that 5th goal took his overall tally to the national team to 31, and he became Canada's all-time leading scorer. So huge well done there to Jonathan David, and many, many more goals to come. Olivia Smith, fresh from her move to Liverpool for a club record fee and 3 goals and 3 assists in 9 appearances for the Canadian women's national team, was named the Female Young Player of the Year with Montreal's Nathan Saliba, after a strong season with the MLS side being named the Male Young Player of the Year. So that was 2024 in a nutshell for the national teams. What will 2025 hold in store? I mean, for the women, it's an interesting year. It's part of their cycle where there's not an Olympics, there's not a World Cup. I had a quick look before we were recording as to when the next CONCACAF Women's Gold Cup is. 2029.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, that's like, 5 years between the tournaments. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a World Cup, there's going to be an Olympics before that as well. But this is one of those 2025, one of those years where there's not big tournaments for them. So it's kind of a chance to consolidate and just move on. On the men's side, though, we've got the Nations League finals in March in Vegas. Oh, not Vegas, in LA. Or is it San Diego? No, it's LA. It's LA. And then it's the Gold Cup in the summer, BC Place, hosting a game here. The draw is not until April. And it's another good year for Jesse Marsh to learn about his team, learn about what players he wants to be part of, give some guys some experience, and just build towards 2026.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how what's it called? The World Club Cup extravaganza, should it happen. It'll be interesting to see what happens in terms of how does that impact what players Marsh can select for that Gold Cup.
Yeah.
Right? Because there could be a couple. Is it a couple?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to affect. It's going to affect the US. It's going to affect Canada. It's so stupid.
But who's Canada going to have there? Fonzie and Tejan, right? Because Fonzie will either be at Bayern or he'll be at one of the other clubs that's there, probably. And then
actually, it might
Tejan
just be
Inter, right?
those. It might just be those two, I guess, depending on any moves that's coming up. I mean,
so it might not be as impactful as I thought it was going to be in my mind.
Yeah, it's just it's horrible just to have them clashing on the same continent at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, groundhoppers might like it. They may be able to.
Yeah,
take in more matches.
I still hope to get down. I'll definitely be at the Gold Cup game here, and then we'll see what else. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting 2025. That's it for our national team review of the year. There'll be a little bit more national team talk in the next part as we hand out some more end of year awards, and we'll be back with all of that after this song that's made it to number 1 in our 2024 Festive 15.
Hi, I'm Johnny Russell and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Business if it's momentary. I wanna talk with a gag if it's a bar bottle of bag, I wanna strike at the stag, I need the flair from it. I want a shot in the dag, I wanna make me mad, I wanna live the yak, I call the ends on it. I wanna take the truth without a lens on it. My God-given insanity, it depends on it. How I feel, how I feel, how I feel. I wanna kill all the hand and never turned up challenger. I wanna keep all of your charm in a canister. Do you inspire like the same bit salager? I'm the pig on the Chinese calendar. I got a shallow like a 5'8" caliber. I wanna move like a new salamander. I live a carry on, who's a real scavenger. It's my tyranny keeping me from me. Hit me for the day, for the life that you suffer to come by. Take to my sky, never wanting, only wonder to live out of reach. Sloping family, short to tall, 1 to 3, swallow the key. In their footprints, I will follow. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary blissness. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary blissness. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary blissness. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary blissness.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And it's the moment we've all been waiting for. We've building up to it the whole month long. We get to reveal our number one song for 2024. And once again, from Dublin in Ireland, it's their third entry in our Festive 15. And there's a fourth I wanted to put in as well. And I thought, I can't have four from the one band. I settled for the three. I usually just like two. But their whole album, Romance, was fantastic. The band is Fontaines DC, and that was the first single to be taken from the band's fourth album. It was released on April 17th, Starburster. An American music magazine, Spin, named it their Song of the Year as well. It only reached number 57 in the UK charts, but did reach number 10 in the UK indie charts and number 12 in the Canadian rock charts. It's a song about a panic attack that lead singer Graham Shatton had at a railway station in London. Starburster by Fontaines DC takes our number one spot and is AFTN's Song of the Year for 2024. I highly recommend you check out the whole album Romance, their whole back catalogue as well. They're going to be playing at the Commodore on April 18th, a rearranged show. I do not have a ticket for it. I am probably going to be commentating that night in League One, and it's sold out now. If it turns out I'm not commentating, I am going to be doing everything I can to get a ticket for that. Maybe also have a little chat with the band as well, Zach, because long-time fan, and one of my presents that didn't arrive for Christmas, so it's going to be a Valentine's Day present now, is the latest third strip from Irish football club Bohemians, and the second of their strips that is sponsored by Fontaines DC. It's also a charity raising kit. It's raising money for a medical charity over in Gaza. So we're going to round off this episode by something that we started off several weeks ago, and then I thought I'll save the rest of it for our last show of the year. We love to hand out our AFTN awards for the year. We've done our Whitecaps heavy ones. We've talked some Vancouver FC and CPL awards just in general as well. And these are some of the more fun ones that I've saved for our last show of the year. They'll be covering a variety of things, and it doesn't have to be about Whitecaps. It doesn't have to be about Vancouver FC, about Canada. It could be about worldwide soccer for some of the categories as well. It's just ones to have a little bit of fun with, and you can let us know your choices as well. Do you agree? Would you have something different? Some of them more normal categories for awards than others. And let's start it off with one of our favourite ones, which in the whole COVID era kind of got derailed a little bit, but things definitely seem back into full flow now. And that is Best Away Day. And it can be for whatever reason you want, Zach. Let's start off with yours. You can just give us one. You can give us a top three. What the most meaningful or best away days for you in 2024?
It's weird because none of them are Pacific when I think about it this year. For me, even though I enjoyed the trips to the island, I think for me the three I would give you, Michael, is coming in. Let's say coming in third will be all my trips to Cavalry. So whether flying or driving. So we flew once and drove twice. Just so enjoyable. Like it's.
Well, I mean, it's a beautiful drive for one thing.
Yeah, and it's literally the way we did it. This is going to sound crazy. It was cheaper than going to the game on the island.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's
you did have to like drive through the night and stuff.
Yeah, but still, I mean,
whereas on the island, you always have. Well, you don't always have to, depending on the kickoff time. If it's a late kickoff, you have to get that hotel.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Even when you do the island in a day.
Yeah,
it's still way cheaper.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed all of them though. Traveled with Andrew Harley for all three. Sean Walker, Gail Embry, Kirk, and Adrienne Harley were people I traveled with for those games. So yeah, they were all great. So that's number three. Number two for me is going to be Kirk and I driving to Kamloops for the Fulham game. It was just it kind of just happened at the right moment, and we were able to make it happen, and just fun, just a lot of enjoyment, and it was a fun game. And Tyler Crawford scored the winning goal, and that was great. And got to see. I think it was the first time I really saw. I think Joey Buchanan play in any kind of competitive sense, and so that was good.
I think I know what your number one's going to be.
Going to Forge.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Saprissa.
Yeah, Saprissa. I don't think it was an away day, though. I guess it was. Okay.
It was.
Okay, well,
because one of mine's is kind of like that too.
Okay, I'll put those as 1A and 1B.
Okay.
So Kirk and I go into Saprissa with a bunch of friends. Yeah, seeing Kendall, and then Liz and I go into Forge. Like it was doing the AFTN stuff and where we were in the stadium for the game and the game itself, and then watching the Canada game there afterward.
Yeah, and they really looked after you as well.
Yeah, they totally looked after us and were great hosts. And like I said, James and some of his colleagues there were absolutely amazing to us. Just even like, was it 3-3? That was a 3-3 game. So a couple of the goal from Gabby Bitar from distance in that game was
that the late equalizer?
I think so. Because
all these games just mesh into one.
Yeah, I think
season's over.
For our goals, did we score first? I think we scored first, and then
definitely scored first.
Yeah, that's also a game where Weir, I think, scored like a volley or a half volley on a cross or something. Anyways, it was so good. I just remember it was a lot of fun, and that was the one of the 3 times I went to Ontario in that 6-week span. That was the one time I planned to be there.
Yes, I know, because you were back and forth a lot, obviously, for the family issues.
Yeah. So that was really good. And then sorry, I didn't think of Saprissa as an away game because it was a home game, and because I was there with the home people, and
but it was
you're right.
A trip. It was a trip outside, because my third one is something similar, because it was a home game for the team, which although I'm an East Fife fan.
Sorry.
Although I'm an East Fife fan, when I was growing up, and I won't go through the whole story again, my granddad took me to the local junior team, which is non-league, we just call them junior, in Scotland, Glenrothes. And they're now in the Scottish football pyramid. And I hadn't been to a home game at Warrout Stadium probably since the 80s because I was watching East Fife, and anytime I ever saw Glenrothes play after that, they were away from home. So I got to go to Warrout Stadium for the first time in many years when I was back sorting out all my dad's stuff. And it was just so emotional just to get back there from where I was as a kid. And I mean, that was great. So that's my third one. My second one is being with TSS at Pacific for the Canadian Championship. It would possibly have got to number one if they'd held on. But I mean, the drama of that game, taking it to penalties, leading to the 97th minute, having hearts broken, having the Gatorade towel taken off me when I was all set to go on the pitch and grab our player for the One Soccer interview. Heartbreaking, but funny when you look back at it. And it was just, again, traveling with the team as their comms person, being in the hotel, being around the team, going for the pre-game walk, just everything. It was something special. Have that for Valor, I guess, for next year coming up. But I mentioned early in the show, got down to Portland twice this year. I mean, that 5-0 playoff win, I think just because it was so unexpected, I wasn't even sure we were going to be able to get a victory, never mind one so dominant.
Yeah.
And it was great being back in Portland again and having a quick trip down the coast. And I mean, everything about that, what it meant to the fans, what it meant to Vanni, with the form that they'd been in. And you're like, oh, this is just an epic derby win and an epic playoff win. And I think everyone that was there will remember that trip for a long, long time. So that's our top three away days. I'll kick off the next one, which is our quote of the year. And as usual, I didn't remember to jot them all down over the course of the year. I'm like that with the save of the year as well.
Yeah.
But there was two that stuck in my head from a Whitecaps perspective. And my runner-up is Vanni on the Ryan Gauld, Brian White partnership, the dynamic duo, which I think it was Har, it might have been Gemma from Canadian Press that asked Vanni, is it like Batman and Robin? I'm pretty sure it was Har. And his quote is, I don't like this thing because Batman is the worst superhero ever. He's just a spoiled rich kid that defends the capitalists. I don't like Batman and Robin. Please don't call them that because I hate Batman.
Oh my.
I mean, we're going to miss Vanni for the quote machine. I hope he's still in MLS so we can get it. But the number one, and you might not agree with this because of the sentiment of it, but for me, it was his famous, God can be a Timbers fan, but God doesn't exist for me. When he was asked post 5-0 playoff win about the comments from Phil Neville about God as a Timbers fan because the game managed to get switched to Portland. Now, I've picked it for a couple of reasons. I thought it was a hilarious retort to what was a bizarre quote to begin with. It's a true Vanni-ism, but also because of how much attention it garnered. They say there's no such thing as bad publicity. This put Vanni in the club in everyone's talking point after that game. The performance did as well. And then that quote was everywhere. It was on TV shows. It was on like online videos and everything. It really got attention for the club.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just bad theology all around. Starting with Neville, because God's not a fan of one sports club or another. He loves people. He loves what he has created, and so he doesn't care. To me, he doesn't. My understanding would be he doesn't care if Team X or Team Y wins. He just cares about the people.
A lovely way to look at it. Do you have a quote?
I do. It's a really simple one. I think I mentioned it earlier in the season. It's both. He said this kind of on the record in different ways and off the record as well. But it comes from CPL champion coach Tommy Wilden Jr. And no, it's just really simple. He just has always talked a lot about how we just need to keep growing the game. And so that's whether it's, him as a coach and his players and his club and what they're doing to like AFTN and what we do in terms of, trying to bring coverage, I guess is the proper term, to what's going on in the game and in the country.
Yeah, at all levels, because
Yeah,
they all matter, and it's how
yeah,
you go a football nation is to
totally.
cover the game at all levels. Yeah,
So
Tommy's a good quote machine as well. I know there was a couple that Afshin Goatby said that I was like, oh, that's an interesting quote, and I couldn't for the life of me remember what they were when I was coming to jot these.
no, yeah, no, Afshin, yeah, he has like
He
all
just
people,
lets rip when he's not happy about stuff.
yeah, but he just has certain things he says, like when you obviously hang out in these things over and over again, that you hear, oh, like, oh, that's what you asked him that, so he's going to talk about this or whatever, or he's going to bring up that reference. But yeah, he does some good quotes, and he puts things in he often will put things in he'll illustrate things in a kind of a meaningful way.
I know there was a controversial one he had, and I've racked my brains and I can't remember what it was. And then he had to clarify it the next. I want to say it's something he said in reply to you.
No, well, no, there was an awkward, it felt like an awkward thing in a pre-match interview. I want to say away to Halifax.
It was pre-match.
Yeah, where he talked about having to restore some of the division in the locker room or something.
That was it. Yes.
But you know what that was about, right? I don't know if we were
I
talking.
do now, yeah.
It was about what's his name?
Moses Dyer.
Yeah, it was Moses Dyer. Some of the stuff that he had created that
Yeah.
people, I think, inferred was between Moses and Afshin.
Which then turned out not to be.
It was about Moses and his teammates. I think
Yes.
is more the reality, as I understand it. So
That was the exact one I was thinking of. I knew it
Yeah.
was, yeah, I knew it was something like that.
yeah,
The next one, we'll start with you. You might not care too much about this, and we're going to do this for the CPL in the next show. So it's things we'd like MLS to change. And we don't
Yeah.
do CPL now.
I think most of my things won't be that different to you. I think number one, all clubs have to fully participate in the U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah.
Number one. I want to say get rid of the Leagues Cup, but I know that's not going to happen. So maybe I shouldn't waste my breath on that.
No, but I was going to put that in, and then I was like, well, they've kind of, the way that they've tweaked the format, it's not as disruptive, so I don't mind because it's like another proper cup competition now that's played midweek.
Yeah.
Or so we're assuming, because it hasn't been confirmed. But
Yeah. The other thing I would say, and it's better now, but I think balancing the schedules a little bit better would be better. I almost think that, I know they don't want this because they want, games like New York versus LA and Toronto versus Vancouver, Montreal, Vancouver, whatever.
hey,
But
they might not want New York versus LA looking at the viewing figures for the cup final.
well, LAFC maybe. But no, like if you're gonna have East and West, maybe make them totally separate. And I mean, the numbers aren't really great for that, but
No, but when you're only playing 6 teams like the Whitecaps are in the East, and not every team in the West is playing the same 6 teams,
yeah,
you can luck out and have 6 shit teams that you're playing.
exactly, and that's huge.
Whereas someone else could be playing, we've got Miami, we've got Columbus.
So San Diego's the 30th team, right?
Yeah, so it's now 15 in each.
So if you did 15 in each, you did everyone in your thing, home and away, that's 28. I know they don't want to decrease the number of match dates they have for their clubs to make money on, but if you did that, everyone's in Open Cup, you have more room for...
Well, yeah, then you can honor the international dates as well.
Totally.
Which is one of my big things. It's like every single club should be made to honor the international calendar and not play.
I know you're saying this this is for next year, right? Or is this
just in general, just
in general? Okay.
Yeah.
So the third thing I guess would be, a U.S. Open Cup, a true balanced schedule, even if it means 2 conferences that don't play each other until the playoffs or the Open Cup. And then my third one was for the betterment of the game in U.S. football. As much as I don't want that.
Those words, you could see the pain coming out of your mouth.
I think MLS and USSF need to work together to have a more clear structure in terms of, like, if MLS, I think like MLS should, I think the US structure should move towards pro rel in some way, shape, or form long term. So movement in that direction would be good. So whether that means that MLS starts their own Division Two that becomes the de facto national Division Two or whatever, or they actually say, okay, USL Championship or whatever. That's too like I would just love to see long term. I know that's not going to happen. We're talking about these $500 million, expansion fees and whatever, but some kind of, I think, yeah, some kind of way to work towards that. And I'm speaking, obviously, I'm speaking totally idealistic.
Oh,
But
yes.
yeah, that's what I
Oh,
would
I
like.
mean, yeah, idealistically, I'd love that as well. I mean, my three were US Open Cup and the honouring the international dates, but also, and I know it would be detrimental to a club like Vancouver in their current state, but I think you need to have just an open transfer market where if somebody, if Vancouver was like, I want to sign this player at RSL, this is what we want to bid in actual proper money and not stupid GAM and everything like that. We want to buy this player for 2 million. Okay or no. Just like how world football works. And I know the danger is it stacks the top teams, but at some point, if the league is growing, and it's like I've had this discussion on our East 5 podcast about the Scottish pyramid system. There's now that we've got relegation out of the league in Scotland, there's some teams that have just floated by and all they do is survive year after year. They don't challenge, they're always at the bottom of the league. Now they're out the league. And as heartbreaking as it is if it's your club, if you don't show any ambition, but you're in a league with ambitious teams, and I'm not just talking about money,
Yeah.
do you deserve to be in that league? And that's a harsh thing to say, but it's the reality of it. And when it's a closed league, I mean, what does San Jose bring to the table in their current state?
History and tradition.
That's a hard sell.
Well, I say that part jokingly because the league allowed them to move to Houston
Yeah.
and restarted.
Yeah, well, they let them keep their name.
Yeah, they do keep their name. Yeah.
But yeah, and I know that goes against some of my beliefs in other things, but ultimately, football has changed and some of my opinions have had to kind of change with it.
Yeah.
Let's move into some of the more fun awards, although they're all fun. And I guess these first two are kind of more serious. We're going to do our hero of the year and our villain of the year. And it could be from Canadian football or world football. I've kept both of mine within the Canadian football structure. Let's start with you for hero of the year. Who has been your hero of the year?
Who's been my hero? And I think I know who you're going to say, and I'm probably going to say it too because I can't think of anyone really
It's fine.
better.
Say it. Say it. Say it's me.
No, well, actually, I don't really want to. Yeah, it's hard for me to say, but I think Jesse Marsh is up there. Like,
But not me.
no, not you personally. Sorry. I would also say someone like vying for it would be for me would be someone like Jonathan David. We're talking strictly, or is it men or women or combined?
Well, it could be any. Just
Okay. Yeah, I think Vanessa Jill, if it's combined, Vanessa Jill is definitely in the top three for me.
that's an interesting one. I mean, for me, it's Jesse Marsh, just because
Yeah.
of the hope and the buzz and the excitement and everything that he has brought to the men's program in a year where the national team has not had the easiest time off the pitch, even before Dronegate, with all the stuff about salaries and everything else. Kevin Blue as well
Yeah, Kevin
I
Blue
think
is up there. Yes.
deserves to get an honourable mention because of what he's done
Totally.
for Canada soccer.
Yes, absolutely.
And but I can't see beyond Jesse Marsh. I just think he's been a light in Canadian soccer. My villain of the year, I've kept on the national team stage.
Well, this is an easy one.
Well, yeah. I mean, I hope I don't get any lawyers issuing statements that it's like going against their client. But yeah, Bev Priestman is my villain of the year, just because she's been at the centre of the most. I'm kind of loath to say embarrassing moment of the year because our next award is most embarrassing moment of the year, and I haven't given it to the Dronegate situation. But yeah, it was a big talking point in Canadian soccer for all the wrong reasons, and she's been at the centre of it. So to me,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's Bev. I think you could maybe also say Jasmine and Joey
Yeah.
are kind of in there.
yeah, maybe just the trifecta.
Kirk would also just like to add, his villain of the year is absolutely Austin Ricci.
Oh, oh, yes, that's a good shout.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's actually a very, very good shout. And if anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, just try and find the highlights for Halifax Vancouver FC towards the end of the season.
oh my,
In fact, you don't even need to watch the highlights, just the last minute.
yeah, so brutal.
A game-changing moment. I mean, there was an award that we've given before that I cut out that I'm now going to throw in just so we can give Austin Ritchie the award, which was Did That Just Happen award.
Yeah,
And I'm going to give it to
yeah,
Austin Ritchie for that
yeah,
miss.
absolutely.
Because genuinely, that was what was going through my head of, did I just see this right?
Yeah,
You're winning a game that you have to win. It's deep in stoppage time. You're basically just going forward, and the
yeah.
keeper was what off his. Oh, the keeper was trying
The keeper was
back.
running back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he was up at the other end. It's an open goal, and you somehow decide not to even take it in, but just go for a speculative long range effort. that
or
had
was he? I
power.
think he was. I think he was actually. Was he? Was he more? I thought he was more passing it from my memory, but or
Maybe.
was it? Maybe maybe he was shooting it. It was
I
just
think
like the
I
worst
think
shot
he was
ever.
shooting it. It looked like a pass.
Yeah, it was horrible.
It was just like kicking it into the half.
Or
Yeah.
if he just held the ball or went to the corner or whatever.
Well, that as well would I equally have done.
Yeah,
And then Halifax got the equaliser.
yeah,
That was a did that just happen moment.
yeah.
Next one, the most embarrassing moment of the year, and it would have been easy to give it to Drone Gate.
Yeah, I'm a Drone Gate can get multiple ones for me. It would get this.
Yeah, because
it was incredibly embarrassing for our nation.
well, yeah, because the next award, we'll lump these together because the next one is Disgrace of the Year, and for me, that was Drone Gate because it did embarrass the nation.
Drone Gates gets both for me.
Yeah, my embarrassing moment was for the Whitecaps to have earned a playoff game at home and then have to move it to Portland. It's an embarrassment for the club. And I know their hands were tied in that they don't have the stadium and they couldn't book that date because it had been booked 18 months beforehand. And they weren't expecting to be hosting a wild card game, but they did. And to have to move your second game of the year because it could have been their last game of the year, and it would have meant they'd moved their first game of the year and their last game of the year because of stadium unavailability. I mean, that is embarrassing.
Yeah, it was not ideal. In some ways, I do feel for them, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you're not wrong in terms of it being embarrassing.
Yeah. Two fun ones just to round off the awards. The Please Just Shut Up award. And we were talking about this before we were recording, and I said, oh, I've got this as an award. Now, we joked, I think in the last show, about Trump's comments about Canada being the 51st state of the US. He's not given up on it. It was in his Christmas Day message. He had a go at Panama, Canada, and he's wanting to seize Greenland.
Yeah.
Just as Greenland are wanting to possibly join CONCACAF.
That's what all Democratic heads of state do, though. They talk about taking over
Yes.
other places, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. That's not the... I mean, that doesn't win the Please Shut Up award because it's football related, but I wish he would just shut up about that. Because, like, Denmark are now, like, putting extra military things on Greenland, and it's like, this is just all talk. He's surely not going to try and seize it militarily because they have a base on there, which Denmark will just say, you say it's important strategically, now you don't have it at all. You're off.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. But tied in with all that is the trolling MAGA buffoon, Alexi Lalas, who this week was like going on about, it would be good if Canada did this. Look at the joint team you could have for America if all the Canadians then became American.
Don't even get me started. My goodness.
The Canadians did make the 11.
Yeah. This is, but aside from the politics, Michael, this is so on brand for him. He likes to say things that just rile people up. He knows it's going to rile. people are going to click and quote tweet and whatever, blah blah blah. But I don't someone because I have not been following Timothy Weah's career. How he's a right back for the U.S. men's national team? Is he playing right back now?
I have no idea.
I know he's been a winger before.
He is, and Alexei Lalas is starting 11.
Anyways, I would that like would you choose him over like Alistair Johnston?
No. I know there's some Canadian bias there, but as we were talking about, like Alexei Lalas had Moise Bombito as one of the two centre backs. I wouldn't have him at this point. I don't think he's done enough to earn that starting thing if you had a combined thing. But you shouldn't give him any more airspace. He was my runner up, but I just wanted to get that out there. My actual winner for the Please Shut Up award was the US pundits during Copa, who disrespected Canada's performance and run so much and turned it into, this should be America. Why is it not America? Yeah. And it's like, it could have been if you'd won your games and got that far, but you didn't, and Canada did. So why are you disregarding everything that Canada's done? Which, okay, they didn't score a lot of goals. It wasn't maybe the most dynamic group performances, but they got out of their group. And it was a tougher group than the US had.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. That was horrible. Yeah. I think I listened to a lot of those games with the volume off, I think.
Well, I was down in the US for a lot of Copa because I was down Oregon. So it's like I was hearing all these things and it's like it was driving me nuts. Anyone you want to tell to shut up from the year, apart from me?
I'm trying to think in a CPL light. Is there anyone?
I don't think anyone really riled you this year in the CPL.
No.
Again, probably just me.
No. I'm always happy to hear your perspective, Michael.
Well, you can add another one later if you can think of someone.
Yeah.
Our very last award that we call the Mustafa Jarju What a Waste. Usually we say What a Waste of Money award. You could tie this in with that. I've just called it the Mustafa Jarju What a Waste award. And I've given it to something that we've already talked about in the show. And I think Axel probably agrees with this. And it's the Whitecaps' 50th anniversary year could and should have been more. It's felt like a complete waste. It's had highs, Canadian Championship win, exciting playoff games.
Yeah.
Great crowds.
Yeah.
Some of them tied into the whole Messi thing, which incidentally was also, I never mentioned this in my embarrassing moment of the year. It was not so much the Messi no-show, but the fallout in the media from it. Why is this player not coming? You're not buying the player. You're not buying the ticket to see that player. And we won't get into the marketing thing, and I'll move on just to this award. But it does feel like a waste of what could have been. And we've talked about it already. I won't dwell on it again. But you had the crowds. You had the money coming in. I don't know how many of those will be back in 2025. And you've ended the year by what I think was the right decision in firing a manager that people in the city, the casuals and the casual media loved.
Mm-hmm.
And then the club's up for sale and there's just so much uncertainty about the future of it. It's not been a great anniversary year. It just feels such a waste of what could have been.
Yeah, I agree. And I've commented on this a number of times throughout the season about if they feel like a missed opportunity. I would say, so in general, I agree with you. I think it's the right call. I would say that going into the 50th anniversary, you thought, aside from who was coming to play at the stadium for the other teams, I would not have been surprised for the Whitecaps to go all out on the playing side in terms of bringing new people in. So I wasn't surprised, but it still felt like a missed opportunity. However, Michael, what you said about how things ended at the end of the year, where all of a sudden Kerfoot and co are saying, yeah, we want to sell. When I look back on the 50th, I say, that makes even more sense now.
Yes.
But I mean, although maybe someone would say, hey, your ROI goes up a little bit if you have a playoff, like a conference finalist or winning or whatever, MLS.
Well, you had an interesting last 3 months. October, a little bit of despair at the start that then, even though they went out of the playoffs, folk were like, oh, some great performances by the team. November, your coach is fired. December, the club's up for sale. It's quite a roller coaster of, oh, I'm looking forward to next year. Oh, what is next year going to bring?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But we don't want to end the show on a down note. So let's play a little fun game now. It's time for another edition of Blankety Blank.
Blankety blank, blankety blank. Blankety blank, blankety blank. Blankety blank, blankety blank, blankety blank. Blankety blank.
Yes, another idea stolen from UK television. Blankety Blank. AFTN style. We obviously tweak it so that we make it our own. We've played it on the show before. I will give Zach a phrase or a sentence, and he has to complete the blank in 1 to 3 words. So basically, I'll give him a sentence. He'll give me a word. Are you ready to finish me off, Zach?
Please don't say it like that, Michael.
Zach will be finishing me off. So we asked Axel for his 1 word or 2 word as to what 2025 might hold in store for the Whitecaps. And he said, positive surprise. Interested to see how that will play out. Could the new coach be a big name? Will we win the quadruple? Will these drugs wear off before the end of the show? So I'm going to give you 5 blankety blanks. I'll give my versions as well. And I've mixed it up for a variety of things. Whitecaps, CPL, NSL, Canadian soccer. So let's start off. And listeners at home, let me know your blanks. 2025 will be blank for the Whitecaps.
I'm going to say this is not a fun answer, but I'll say a window of opportunity.
I thought you were just going to go, I don't need to finish that. The answer is already in the question. It will be blank for the Whitecaps. I think this isn't a positive one either. After me saying it's going to be a fun way to end it, I think it's going to be turbulent.
Oh, that's
I think it's going to be a tough start for the new coach. It's a baptism of fire, as we've spoken about with the schedule. I think they'll find their feet and they'll start to get on, but you're always going to have in this background this sale thing. And if, as Axel says, it could go on for more than a year, it's still always going to be in the back of folks' minds. And there's nothing, as Axel said, as I said to Axel, there's nothing anyone at all can 100% say just now to allay any fears either. So it's niggling away at the back of your brain.
Totally.
Second one. By the end of 2025, the Whitecaps will be owned by
foreign investors.
Oh, I'm going to say the same people.
Oh.
I think this will go into 2026. Unless there's a knight in shining armor that comes riding in with a great deal and the sale can get done. I would prefer that. And obviously that knight is keeping the team in Vancouver. I just think the way that the process will play out, and with Axel saying, well, we need to kind of make it show investors this year that the team deserves to stay in Vancouver. They've got the whole year to do that. And maybe someone's like, oh, look at the crowds they got. Look at the success on the pitch. Yeah, we need to keep this team here. Third one.
But they're still going to sell to someone who's going to keep it here. Is what you're saying.
But not till maybe 2026.
Right.
Or maybe we'll get a Christmas surprise next year. CPL next. The 2025 CPL season will be blank.
The best yet.
Oh, that was going to be mine. I genuinely think it could be.
Yeah. I think this year, I think.
Yeah, see, I think last year was the better one for me.
Okay.
I just think it was better quality football-wise, but I liked the result this year.
Yeah, Tommy.
But I think with Cavalry winning it now, Forge will want that title back. I think as we'll talk about in the next show, I think we've seen some teams like Halifax who are like, yeah, we're making the playoffs next year. Valor's made some interesting additions. The two BC teams could be in a state of flux or a rebuilding state. We'll kind of wait to see. So I think this could be a very exciting CPL season. And yeah, and they're going to have a rival as well, which is our fourth one. The 2025 NSL season will be blank.
The best yet.
Oh, that is very good.
Sorry, is that okay?
Oh no, I'll go with that. That's very good because it's more upbeat than mine, which is going to be relatively successful.
Oh, okay.
I think it will be a success, and it's given players a league to play in. I still don't see the crowds being at the level that they think it's going to be. But the TV coverage will certainly help with that. And I think another answer could be an intriguing year, because it could go either way. So much is held up about the hockey and the success in that, which has been phenomenal. But we are a hockey country. Can that be replicated at that level of women's soccer? I hope yes. We will see. And the last one, which I think will be a nice positive way to end this, the best word to describe Canadian soccer at the end of 2025 will be...
I'm going to go with stabilized.
Oh. I am going to go with full of optimism.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I think both, and it's tough for the women because, as I mentioned in the last part, it's not a year in the cycle that's got the competitive tournaments, but particularly on the men's side, I think you're going to have that optimism going into 2026, hopefully on the back of a very good 2025. There'll be a line drawn under Drone Gate early. The players' contracts and everything will get sorted out. And I'm hoping after the last couple of years where it's not been great off the pitch, we are going into 2026 just full of hope, full of optimism. I think that's a nice way to end the football chat for 2024. We will finish our last show of 2024 with our last wavelength of the year. And content warning in advance. This does contain some strong language, including the C word.
Oh.
It's from a band that we've played many, many times on the show. We've been playing their whole 2021 football-themed album, All You Need Is in Love. Birmingham band, Armchair Loyal, with 2 tracks left to play from the album. This is track 14, and it's a song about bad forwards that miss sitters.
I was surprised you ever used it earlier.
I was going to say, I'm not pointing fingers at any forwards in particular.
Well,
we did just give an award to Austin Ricci, mind you.
Austin Ricci is an example. Do you know the other one?
Yes, and there's been a few in Whitecaps colours over the years. But this is Armchair Loyal, Shit and Miss.
I don't believe it! You missed that! Oh no! What happened there? He missed that! He's missed it from 2 yards! Has missed it from 2 yards!
How the fuck did he miss that? The useless fucking twat. 30 mil and 80 grand a week. And the cunt's got 2 left feet. Next time, tie your laces. Could've hit a cow's ass at 2 paces. Defenders treat him like a doormat. My granny could have scored that. He shit again, shitter. Miss yet another sitter. Howler after howler. He's no Robbie Fowler.
Oh, an easy chance, and how on earth has that not gone into the back of the net?
He finds Smith, and Smith must score, and he hasn't scored.
Before he signed, he was 1 in 3. Now he's none in 17. He's as welcome here as ISIS. Send him back to Panathinaikos. But his deal runs for another 7. So we're stuck with this lemon. confidence shot to pieces. His boots full of feces. He's shit and getting shitter. Missed yet another sitter. Howler after howler. He's no Robbie Fowler. He's shit and getting shitter. Missed yet another sitter. Howler after howler. He's no Robbie Fowler.
You are a disgrace! Hey, Baz! For missing the target from there, you want bloody shooting!
That's good try and conjure up one of the misses of the season. How has he put that wide?
There is no doubt. He'll never open his account. He'll never register or notch with daisy cutters and granny shots. He can't get off this carousel and break his duck in this barren spell. The toe coat joke, ruffle. He couldn't score in a brothel. He's shit and getting shitter. Missed yet another sitter. Howler after howler. He's no Robbie Fowler. He's shit and getting shitter. Missed yet another sitter. Howler after howler. He's no Robbie Fowler.
The worst miss of all time?
It has to be.
Armchair Loyal from 2021, a fun way to end the year. Shit and miss. Some quality lines in that song. He's shit and getting shitter. He's missed another sitter. Howler after howler. He's no Robbie Fowler. I mean, quality stuff. That is one of the best songs we've played in Wavelength this year. Maybe save the best to last, you may say, in the last show of the year. It also features some fantastic sound bites from commentary, including the famous commentary from the 1983 FA Cup final between Brighton and Man United. It was 2-2. It was the last minute of the game. Scottish forward Gordon Smith in on goal. The commentator, and Smith must score. And he hasn't scored. And what a costly miss it was, because the game finished level. It went to the replay a few days later, as the FA Cup finals famously did back in the day. Man United winning the replay 4-0. The whole incident went down in football and folklore, and especially that commentary moment as well. But great song there. Armchair Loyal, fantastic way to round off our wavelengths for 2024. And with it, that rounds off our AFTN Soccer Shows for the year as well. And from a Whitecaps perspective, I think never has the famous Hogmanay phrase, out with the old, in with the new, been more relevant than it has for the team going from 2024 into 2025. We'll see what the new year has in store. Any final thoughts from you, Zach, before we wrap this one up?
Well, a couple of things. First off, by the time most people listen to this, I guess, are close to it, it'll be the day or the eve of the 37th birthday of one Kendall Waston. So happy early birthday, Poppy. Looking forward to seeing you come to BC Place and
look forward to chatting with him.
Yeah, really, really looking forward to that. So happy early birthday to you. And then I just want to say, yeah, thanks to all the people who listen. Thank you to listen to the show, engage with stuff Michael asks on social media, and provide feedback, constructive criticisms.
Keeps up with all our nonsense.
Yeah.
Listen to the sections that they have no clue as to what's going on, and put yourself in that.
All the downloads, all the listens, all the subscribing, all the what do you call it? Yeah, subscribing. What's the special one called?
The extra podcast. Yes.
Yeah, people who subscribe to the extra podcast. Yeah, thank you for
the
being
special ones, as we like to refer to them.
Exactly. Thank you for being a part of the community in that way. And I really enjoy doing this with you, Michael. Of course, thank you to you for letting me be a part of it. And yeah, I just enjoy sitting on Zoom and talking about football, local football, national football, international football. It's a lot of fun.
It certainly is. I just want to echo all that. Thanks to everyone that's been with us throughout 2024, whether you've been with us from the start or joined us along the way. It's been great to have you along. I know we're quite different from a lot of the other soccer podcasts. We're a lot longer than a lot of the other soccer podcasts. And yeah, we've got our own weird and wacky things that I enjoy. And the fact that any of you enjoy it as well makes it all the better as well. We'll be back with more packed shows in 2025. In the summer, possibly moving to maybe 2 a week to kind of split up the MLS, CPL, NSL things. We've still got all that to sort out. Who knows what 2025 will bring for the Whitecaps in MLS, for Vancouver FC, Pacific FC, CPL, Vancouver Rise, NSL, all the local colleges, VMSL, Provincial Cup, so much football, League One BC. It's a lot to cover, a lot to talk about. I already can't wait for the new year. Have a very happy and healthy new year. Stay safe, and we'll see you on the other side of the bells.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
10 minutes left. Yeah,